We're good. All right. It starts in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to Core. That's right. This is the first episode of the new year, that being 2025. And here on January 2nd, we've come together, myself, Scott Johnson, Beau Schwartz, and John Jagger, to tell you what we think 2024's best stuff was in games. That's what we're here for. All right. And as usual, our categories are not everyone else's categories. This isn't the GameAwards.com. Okay.
Don't throw too many stones. Some of the categories are the same.
That's a good point. It sort of is. But we're going to talk about all our favorite things that we thought were good this year. Some of the things we thought were a little bit weird this year. We all have some categories that don't even match each other's, just like last time. You're going to get no news, no relationship advice, just wall-to-wall thoughts about what happened.
I'm not going to promise that I won't give you relationship advice.
John, let's come up with some quick relationship advice here at the top of the show.
Quick relationship advice.
Yeah. Give me something.
Friction is good.
Oh, well, it does help achieve your goals.
Take it for what you will. Friction is good.
Friction is good.
Little friction, the right time and place.
Yeah.
Are you getting your relationship advice from MMO designers?
Yeah, right? Friction. That's actually a good point. What makes an MMO work? Provide player friction everywhere they go, right?
Well, they need things to solve.
There's a monster
it's
to
called
kill.
Friction points when it's...
Yeah,
but just even getting resources. I'm not a miner and I'm a blacksmith. Where do I get my ores from?
Yeah.
Friction. I'm gonna communicate with a miner and get some stuff from him.
Don't communicate with miners, you guys. Stay
miner.
ERs. Got it.
A miner. All right. Anyway.
Hey, speaking of rap, can we do this before we get too far? Beau made a thing.
Oh yeah, I made a thing to celebrate the year. Although I don't know if it's very year themed, but I've just been working on something. So here's something, a new piece of music for the Core soundtrack, basically.
You'll recognize John in a rapping capacity. Apparently, I'm involved in this somehow.
I was asked to do something, and I did it, and I haven't heard it.
You haven't heard the end result either, then?
No.
Okay.
I know what I did.
Sure.
So my trepidation exists for a reason. I know what I did.
All right.
But
look, I do sing for like all of 5 seconds. Try not to cringe your faces too much. All right.
Okay.
I'm in pre-cringe mode.
I know. Be like clench.
Yeah.
You may have to go to the toilet finally after this.
Well, let's find out. I don't have any. I can't gauge this either because I haven't heard it. So I'm very excited to hear this. Let's give it a spin. Excuse me.
Yes, can I help you?
Yeah, well... Oh.
All right, calm down. Calm down. All right, calm down.
Core!
Calm down.
here he is. It's the other core dude. No, I did not mean Beau. I meant the one who's rude. Seriously, there's only 3 of us. No, I am not Brian Ibbett. He's on TMS. I'm the host who does the voices. You got Martha and Grandma. That's right. You got 2 choices. Look, I'm not trying to get surly. I'm the shorter of the hosts. Well, I'm taller than jury. You got it, finally. It's me, John. I'm not doing this right, but I'm also not doing it wrong. From Yakuza, Warhammer, and that MMORPG, oops, that's Beau again, I'm the one that plays Final Fantasy.
What about chaos?
John Jagger wrapping things up tonight. You don't have to like what I say, just remember I'm right.
Bullshit.
I don't like that guy. He sounds whiny. He's got all the wrong opinions, and his forehead's too shiny.
That's fine with me. I don't like myself too. The comments section ain't nothing new. Here's one simple fact, completely true. It's me on the show. It isn't you. With that cleared up, let's call it here. I send you all my best from Core. Have a happy new year.
All right.
My 10 a.m. alarm clock rings for 5 more hours while I sleep, and finally my eyes drift open at 3 p.m. and it's time to play games. First I'll take a shower, run the lake for about an hour, throw on shorts and a black t-shirt. I'm esports ready, time to get to work. The level, upgrade, shoot, mine, purchase, unlock, loot, grind, manage, items, skip, time, kick, punch. It's all in the mind of an underachiever on any DPS meter. Kill stealing feeder, an unreliable streamer. Try hard DGen, trying to give these gamers something to believe in. A thing of beauty, I know. Won't part fade away.
All right, calm down. Calm down. All right, calm down. Calm down.
There we go.
That was freaking great. Man,
That was amazing. That was great.
Chat's
Yeah,
asking.
great wrapping.
Chat wants an MP3, and we're giving it to patrons. Time to sign up, everybody. Sign up. Patreon.com/core show. And you'll get a version of that thing all to your own lonesome there. That's freaking fantastic. Now, had I known that this was going to be this, I should have done something. This is like on New Year's Eve. Beau says, hey, if you want to send me a quick little rap or whatever.
I basically said, hey, want to send me your raps?
Or New Year's Eve,
And
Christmas
then I
Eve.
sent the break beat. I'm like, get it to me before the show.
Yeah, send me a rap or whatever. And John, of course, jumped right on it. And I was like swamped and didn't even notice it until too late. And so if you're wondering why it's just me going, core, that's why.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of reads of you going, this is core, this is core, this is core. So I'm like, well, I can use you for the chorus. Core.
Oh, that was me all modulated with all the different cores.
Yeah, like tune down, tune up. That's all you. It's all different versions of you saying core.
That was fantastic. That was really, really good.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it's not too late. I mean, I can always, if you send me a verse, I can always drop in and we can do a remix.
Well, maybe 2025 is the year of core raps. Who knows?
Yeah.
We could call it core raps like MTV used to do and just have our own little show.
Yo core raps.
Yo
core
core raps or yo core TV rap. It's not long enough. Something there has to fix. But anyway, we'll see what we can do for you. But that was awesome. John, congratulations. You win the rap beef of 2024. You did.
Yeah, you started beef with your rap. I was like,
It's really
I
good.
was like, please send me a
Well,
rap.
you gotta be a little. You gotta
Gary's
go
gonna
a
get
little
it.
hard in some places.
It's amazing. Well, all right then. That is a perfect launching point for us to dive right into today's entire topic, which is the year that just came before. 2024. We hardly knew you. You're gone now, but we're going to talk about you anyway. So let's talk about kind of a category that jumps ahead a little, just to kind of get us loosened up, and that is the most anticipated games of 2025. We each chose our top three. I think a couple of us have honorable mentions. Yeah, we do. John's got one too. We'll talk about those, but before we do, should we do last year's, John, as a look back?
Yeah, so I included this because I thought this might be fun. We just did 2024. Let's take a look at what people last year, or year prior, thought was going to be the best games they were excited for 2024. And honestly, Scott, you're the reason I included this information, because I took one look at your list and I went, great.
Yeah, mine's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
I'm gonna put this up here. So yeah, I don't know if you want to. We'll each take our turns. We can talk about what we picked last year and what we're picking this year.
Yeah, so that's a good way of doing it. So last year I made a horrible choice and chose Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was my third. I really thought they were going to hit their marks. I don't know why. I remember talking about this and being very hopeful, but we had nothing to be hopeful about. Everything leading up to the release of that game had said that I was misplacing my hope, but I still held on to this like optimistic feeling that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. DC Kill this game, really, is what it should be called. And it didn't work out, unfortunately. It was a real bummer. So I was wrong there. 3 this year, though, I feel like I'm pretty safe with this one. That, for me, would be Civ 7. I think Civilization 7 is going to be a banger, and I am very much looking forward to losing a lot of sleep and time to it. That game's going to be great. And I think we get it kind of early. Don't we get it like in, I meant to look.
I think February?
Yeah. February's a busy month because I think 2 of my 3 games are out that same month. But anyway, yeah, Civ 7 I think is an easy one, and I think I'll fare better with that than I did Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. At number 2, last year I said Shapes 2. I stand by it.
A good choice for you, Scott.
Yeah, Shapes 2 with a Z is amazing and is...
Although, did it technically come out this year? Is it out 1.0 or is it still early access?
It's still early access. So this is one I'm going to give a little bit of... I mean, it's whatever. We've never been hard and fast on the rules on early access. So it's really polished and feels finished. So I feel like it can still qualify. I thought they were going to release without an early access release back then. But I'm happy to say even the EA release is real strong, and I love that game. So I feel pretty good about number 2. I also feel pretty good about number 1, Space Marine 2. Here's the only problem.
Wait, you didn't say what you're picking
Oh,
for
sorry.
this year, though.
Sorry. 2, I meant to do this. So 2, the second $60 I'm going to have to spend in the same month, is Avowed from Obsidian Entertainment. And I guess Microsoft would be publishing this one. And I think Avowed is shaping up to look really, really good. And I think that one is not that risky. I think I'm going to be fine with their first-person Skyrim adjacent fantasy game. And I've never disliked anything Obsidian's ever made. Like, I like it all. So they would have,
like a safe bet then.
They would really have to screw that up to ruin that. At number 1, I said Space Marine last year, Space Marine 2. I think that holds, even though I haven't finished it yet. I want to. I think Space Marine 2 is a great game. Should it be number 1? Maybe Shapes 2 and Space Marine swap places. Just from Shapes 2 exceeded my expectations. Space Marine 2 has maybe too many Tyranids for my taste. But I still like it. I just don't like the Tyranids. That's always been an issue with me. I would have preferred some orcs. Space orcs with a K. Anyway, for my number 1 this year, The Outer Worlds 2. Hey, Obsidian. How you like me now with my 2 picks from the same company?
Scott was like, I got to fill out a list. Who's making stuff? I'll start and stop at Obsidian Entertainment.
I love their games. I'm not concerned that they're going to ever be bad. The only question is, will they be as great as I think they're going to be? I loved Outer Worlds 1. I played that game all the way through twice and started a 3rd run on it. Didn't go back, but 2 times I beat that game. That's how much I like that game. And I really loved the first one. So I think this next one's going to be something special. And I think that's way later in the year. So it's a nice chunk of space between Avowed and The Outer Worlds. You don't want all that at once, you know? So that's my list. I feel okay take out Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. And I think last year was a good indicator of what I was looking forward to. And there ended up being a lot of surprises and stuff, obviously, but I think those titles are all right. John, how'd you fare?
Honestly, I didn't do much better. If I don't have anything that's a glaring like Suicide Squad on there, but I didn't do much better for this year.
Yeah.
So last year I did an honorable mention of Hades 2, which I'm very excited for, but I did say last year, which I don't think is going to come out. And it didn't. It came out in early access, which I'm not going to play because I've always said with Hades 2, I want to play it when it's full release, just like I did with Hades 1. Happy people are in there making that game the best game they can, but I'm going to wait till it's out. So for me, that ended up being accurate. This year, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm predicting Grand Theft Auto 6 is not going to come out this year. So...
Oh yeah,
it's a bit more of a bold prediction, but Grand Theft Auto 6 would 100% be on my list. I'm predicting it's not coming out this year.
I think that's a fair thing, yeah.
I'm very excited for it.
I forgot to mention my honorable mention like that would have been Claire Obscura or Obscure Expedition 33. I worry that's getting pushed. I want that game out. I want to play it. It would be in my top 3. I bumped something out for it. I don't know what, though. I like all these. But I would bump something out for that because that game looks insanely cool, but I don't think they're going to make the date. All right. Anyway, back to yours. Same thing here with the Grand Theft Auto.
So last year my number 3 was Dragon's Dogma 2, which is a game I did play but didn't love. But I was very excited for it at the end of the year. I do think I'm going to have a better prediction this year. This year, my number 3 is Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Nice.
I think that is a safe bet for me. I think I'm going to like that game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
My number 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, a safe choice again, but hey, here's a kicker. I didn't play it. So it might appear in a different category later on in this list for that very reason. But by all accounts, it was a good game.
Out. It's not coming out till 2025 anyway. So.
Yeah, not in the way I want to play it.
Sure.
So number 2 for me this year is Doom: The Dark Ages. I don't know why I'm so excited for this, because I didn't love the last Doom game that came out. But for some reason, every time I see something about Doom: The Dark Ages, I get a little excited.
The dragon.
That was part of it. The shield was part of everything's a part of it.
Yeah. So Beau, I think you loved Eternal. John and I were roughly the same on Eternal. Eternal wasn't my favorite. I thought the 2016 game was just brilliant, like shorter.
It was
perfection.
good, but it felt like a step back to me.
It did to me as well. What it focused on is not what it interested me about the game just prior to it. So I don't know if that means they get back to that, or if that was a general feeling from a lot of people. Both thought it was one of the best games. I think you gave it Game of the Year for Eternal.
Yeah, I think it's a step forward, but
right.
I understand it moved away from survival horror, which to me feels more Doom than survival horror.
Yeah.
Which 2016 has. I mean, I like 2016 too. It's not like I hate it, but I like when they say we made a game like Battle Chess, where you have to think and strategize and pick things apart and be tactical. Very appealing, rather than just straight like terror, which is more the vibe you get from 2016, which feels like, oh no,
Yeah, I think that's what
both
I glommed
good taste,
onto.
though.
Yeah.
Who knows what this one will be? They may change up the formula again. So
for me, it was like, that first game was rip and tear. And then the second game was like, think about it, then rip, then tear. And I just didn't want to think about it. And in addition to that, I also thought one of the greatest strengths of the first one was that it was not interested in story. And the second one was very interested in story.
Yeah. It's not even that it didn't actually. So I would amend that and say the first, or the 2016 one, concerned itself with story that was intuitive, that made sense without saying very much, and that was obvious on the face of things without me having to have everything explained to me. And I love that kind of storytelling, that kind of world building. That's why I love Fury Road. Don't tell me every detail. Just let me see the gist of things, and I'll fill in the rest. The second game, I think anyway, and it sounds like John might agree, Eternal tried to fill in too many blanks, and I don't need it.
Yeah.
I didn't need it. Just rip and tear. Get in there and fight. I understand that you're the last hope we have, and you're going to do it in the most violent way possible, and you're going to cock your gun at a really cool ass time, and that's it. That's all I need. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're getting more story.
I think, I'm probably. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's still number 2 on my list. Number 1 for me last year was Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail.
Yep.
It was good. And this year, just to steal one from Scott, Civilization 7 is what I'm picking.
Well, technically I stole mine from you because I put mine in after you did. So just for the record. True. But
yeah.
We both love Civ.
I'm really excited for Civilization. My wife's been playing it again, and I keep going, I got to play some Civilization 2. And by that I mean as well. And I keep saying, like, we're a couple months away. Just wait for 7. Don't burn yourself out on Civilization right now. It's coming. Just wait.
That's a really good plan. I need to do the same, because I installed it yesterday and I didn't play it yet. But I just have this feeling of like, can I maybe just a quick run, a little, I don't know. Let's take the Japanese guys just a few turns. Like I'm tempted to get in there and dink with it. But then my brain said, well, Scott, don't be dumb. You don't want to have the new one come out and go, okay, more of that,
Don't burn out on it. I thought I saw an article too or something saying like this one's going to be pretty good as well. So
yeah, early buzz on playtesting, which they can't say too much out loud. A lot of that stuff though is very positive. So we weren't getting that with Suicide Squad.
Play something different before Civ takes over.
Yeah. That's great. You and I will be playing a lot of that. I'll bet Beau will as well. But Beau's list is different. Beau, tell us what you thought in 2024, 3, 4.
2024.
4.
Yeah, in 2023 about 2024.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Well, I was looking forward to Infinite Wealth, which was kind of an easy one because it came out shortly as the year started, but I did play the crap out of it. Also looking forward to Hades 2, and it came out, but again, like John, I'm not going to play it right away. I'm going to wait till the whole thing's in there. So, still looking forward to it, but technically it's out, so I didn't put it on this year's list. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was the thing I was looking forward to the most. Most.
Yeah.
And the frame rate just was awful. So I'm looking forward to playing it. Thanks to listeners, because I do have a copy. I'll be playing very, very soon. So.
Nice. Yeah. So Rebirth. Well, I need to hear what you say when you get it, because there's so much. I see that's divisive, more divisive than I expected it to be. Because the first third of that game series, I assume they're still doing 3 of these to make up all of 7, right?
Yeah.
First one, pretty universally well received, both on PlayStation and later on PC. This one just seems a little bit more divided, and it's not like a lot of middling. It's like extreme. People love it and think it should have been Game of the Year, or there are people who are like, oh, it was a slog and I didn't like it as much as the first third. I don't want to play it. So I'm really curious what you're going to think when you get it.
Yeah, I'm curious as well what I'll think. It's kind of tough. Like, because the Midgard portion is like, I think they did probably the game a disservice, spreading it over 3 games, if I'm being honest, because part of the magic of 7 was realizing that you're getting a big old world, but you spent like 20 hours just in Midgard, and, like there's this expectation shift that happens. It's quite special, a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's already something you've seen, those surprises are different. I would say, like, I definitely really enjoyed the remake, right? Like, there's a lot of surprises, new characters, excellent characterizations. So I played a little bit at the beginning, and it's tough to say so far. It's just it feels like a continuation of the story. Like, and I think that's probably the toughest thing. It's not a good jumping on point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you're ever going to play the second one and be like, I'm going to skip the first. Where some games kind of let you in later. I don't know. It's like a Mass Effect deal where you feel like you missed a lot by not playing the first one.
Sure. Well,
anyways, looking forward to playing it real soon.
Nice.
But my top list for things I'm looking forward to next year.
Or this year. This year, right?
This year for 2025, because now it's 2025. But yeah, right. We're not technically doing it in 2024.
Sure.
But you know what I mean.
Feels like it.
Upcoming year period.
Yeah.
My first one for third place was the Valheim 1.0 launch, which I'm expecting this year. I watched a dev talk and stuff, and they're getting ready to put the last biome in and the last bits.
We have any
1.0?
specific date for that, or just this year or something?
No. But like, there's only one more biome, and I doubt they go this whole year without launching, to be honest. But you never know. They are slow as molasses. But I'm looking forward to a feature complete package. That still might mean that they're going to be working on stuff for it, I imagine. The game came out in 2021, right? So 4 years later, we'll be getting the full launch. Now, I played this game a ton.
That feels a lot less than it is. Like, I guess everything does from 2020, but 2021, that was 4 years ago almost.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
And I didn't play it the first year it came out. I think I was more of a 2022, maybe even 23 player. But I've had 300 hours in the game.
Jeez.
And that includes playing on servers with my sister and her partner, and then playing with Mike Crofton as well, having our own server for a little while. We even had a few viewers jump in, and then just playing on my own. The game is a lot of fun, and I want to have a server up, and I want to get going. But part of the problem is when a new biome gets released, they generally recommend to start a new map. And, I spent a lot of time building stairs up mountains and have cabins everywhere throughout the world, and a whole network of portals and stuff. And I'm like, I kind of don't want to do this every time. There's just too many games for me to play. So I'm waiting till it's feature complete, and then I can have a full and proper playthrough with buddies. If you guys get into it, that'd be awesome too. We can get a server going, something like that. We can all log in and laugh at Crofton's servers. He's terrible at building. You should see his house. I mean, he's bad at building cabins, so his cabins look like garbage, and we all like point and laugh whenever we find one of his. Um,
That's
and
great.
even he was playing with his daughter a little bit too. His daughter's kind of into it, and his daughter was giving him shit too for being bad at the game,
That's good.
which is kind of awesome. Yeah.
Anytime I hear about Crofton getting shit from wherever it's coming from, it's an exciting time. I love it.
Yeah. Well, so, but so I have, I have standing play dates with people to play this, and I just can't wait to get in and see all the new stuff. Like apparently, what they've done with the later zones has made it much harder, but they've added like magic spells and like crazy items and stuff to do. So I'm super looking forward to all the content in there. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah, Valheim. Big looking forward to Valheim. Valheim.
Valheim?
Valheim.
Yeah.
Valheim.
Got it.
Number 2 on my list is probably one we've talked about it on the show before, but I think it's going to take a while. It might not even come out this year. I think it's more of an indie game, but it just looks so awesome. It's called Falling Frontier, and it is a 4X space combat sim. Basically, I don't know if it's 4X. It definitely looks more like you build your own ships and have space combat, and then there's an overall global map for conquest. And something about the presentation of this game and the style, like it's got space explosions, but it's got that like muted sound and space business going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
Something about the aesthetics of this thing and just wanting to play a really good one of these has really appealed to me, and I'm constantly checking in on this one to find out news and updates and when is it getting here, when can I try it. And so this one, because I check in a lot with this game, it's definitely on my list as one I'm looking forward to. So yeah,
you talked about this one before on the show, because I don't remember this one at all.
I think I mentioned it before when I just learned about it, and I was so excited I probably brought it up, but it's probably been a while, like maybe even
freaking beautiful. Jeez.
Yeah.
Now you got me all curious. All right.
Yeah, like it just looks really cool. It's like it got a real cool vibe. The UI looks clean, and it looks like fun, slow space combat. I don't know, it just looks really appealing to me. This has been at the top of my wish list, and I've been checking in on it for over a year now. Just like, come on, man, when's it coming out? When's it coming out?
Falling Frontier is the name. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if you like space sim combat RTS style, that's one to keep an eye on. And number 1 for me, this shot up with a bullet in the past couple of weeks because I watched a dev talk with, we've talked about Pirate Software. He's a pretty popular YouTube creator and all that, and he did a dev interview with them, and I got a lot of detail. We were given a lot of details to what's going on in the game, and it sounds like a lot of fun, and
it's another possible multiplayer good time that we could have in this game.
What game is it? What's the game?
Dune. Oh, the game. Sorry, the game is Dune Awakening.
Dune Awakening. Got it.
Yeah, it's a survival sim with like MMO light features. Like you'll have a lot of people on servers and stuff that they're running, not that you're running. It's a little different. Most survival games you run your own servers. This you run on their servers.
Right.
But basically, you and your guild, your teammates, it's like EVE Online Light, where like your guild, you can have a 1-person guild, but you can have a many-person guild, and they all participate in the lands meet, which sets up political rules for how everyone has to play in the coming week. So you want to go out, get resources, secure as much political power as you can to sway things in your favor or your guild's favor, and then you go out to the open desert. Every week there's a sandstorm that wipes out everyone's stuff in the open desert, not your stuff in your secure base area, but in the open desert. So then you got to rush out and go build bases and collect resources, and that's where the PvP happens in terms of protecting your buildings, or if you're a solo guy, sabotaging people's buildings and stealing. There's this whole like MMO, like survival sandbox thing going on, and big multiplayer things, and it just sounds really appealing. And I'm like, man, I kind of want to get into that. We have like a number of people, in the core guild and in the core area. We could probably get a guild going. Yeah. In Dune, and it has like heavy PvP elements, but
what's the time? Did they get into the interview at all about the timeline this is in? Is it pre-Paul Atreides? Is it after him? Is it, is Arrakis,
no,
obviously? But
they didn't. It kind of sounded like it might be after, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I really don't know. Yeah.
Curious about that kind of stuff.
But there are like true to fiction mechanics where they can do it. So, for example, like shielding attracts sandworms, right? So, if you're in a firefight in the open desert and you turn your shield on, well, you're just going to summon a sandworm, and the sandworms come and eat people. So you also got to be careful of the worms while you're out there doing things. There's going to be aerial combat, so you can earn ornithopters and go around shooting and ornithopters against each other.
Sounds
It
all
just
right.
seems like there's going to be a lot to it that's very in the spirit of Dune, but also very multiplayer, like competitive MMO. I don't know. It sounds fascinating.
Tezzeret Dynamite in the chat, or was it? Yeah, it was Tezzeret Dynamite in the chat says, I won't be playing unless there's a PvE mode. Do you know if a solo player is going to feel friendly out there?
There will be like PvE areas, but like the open desert will be open PvP. There's no way to like I don't know if you'll just be happy just doing the PvE, but there's like in the open dangerous desert, yes, it's all PvP. But your home base is protected behind the shield wall, behind like the mountains, right? So you have elements that can't be touched, but I think technically there are ways to sabotage people. EVE Online would be your closest analogy to like the game without it being a full blown MMO. So no, I don't think you can play PvE EVE Online.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah,
it sounds like it'd be fun if you could.
It's not meant to be a single player, play, or it's not an MMO where you can just hang out on your own. It's meant to be like a. Meant to be like a you're part of the world and you matter and you can have an impact. So that means PvP will be an important part of the game,
right?
But there'll be safe zones, so it's not like you have to be out there all the time.
Nice. Well, great.
Anyways,
I like your list.
I really want to play that.
Yeah, I hope that's sooner than later. What did they give? You said they didn't give dates, or
no date. 2025 is what's listed on the Steam page.
Okay. All right, well, keep your eyes open for that, folks. All right, now we move to a new category. This category, that was loud. This category are some of my Game of the Year award categories. Now, this is where we get a little bit creative. We're all going to get a chance to do this, but it's basically kind of our own little categories of things. Stuff we played, things we found out, things we liked, whatever. And they're all going to vary a little bit. I'm going to be fairly quick with mine. A quick note, I will be putting in all of the RSS notes for the podcast, the YouTube notes, everywhere, Patreon, everywhere that I can. All of these will be listed. So everything we've talked about today, we will have either a link to or fully in the document. You will see everything we've talked about today. So none of you will have any trouble finding the games we talked about if you are truly looking for them. So I don't know what we're making Grandma do today, but we'll figure it out at the end of the show.
I'll just read every game name that's in this document.
All right. You went really fast last time we tried this, so I think it'll be great.
I'll read it super fast and maybe say the same game a couple times, and we'll get through it.
We'll get there. I have faith. All right. I want to talk about my first category, the indie games that are in early access right now that I am stoked for a release next year. I will go through these fairly quickly. And I'm going to start.
But that you are playing now. I love how many qualifiers are on this category. Look, these are the indie games that are in early access.
Yep.
That I'm playing. Really stoked about for release next year.
Yeah.
But that I am also playing right now.
Right now. If I had to give these a grade right now, they'd all get high grades. How about that? That's what
you would think with that many qualifiers, it would not be many games.
That's a very good point. But you'd be wrong. Yeah, you'd be wrong. Here are the games. I'll even put up a little list for those at home to see, so you can see as I go along here. Windblown is what you're seeing right now, some video from. I talked about it last week. I am very excited as this thing continues to evolve. Windblown is awesome. Can't say enough about it. Shapes 2 should release in 1.0 this year. That's a no-brainer. That game rules. As you know, I've talked about it way too much. Timberborn, Beau is probably on board with me here. We'd love to see a 1.0 out of those guys. See a finished version of that game would be nice. And great town builder, city builder. We've talked about it a million times, but it's definitely on my list. Mutant Football League 2. And you might say, Scott, why'd you say it wrong? Well, I said it wrong because it's easy to say it wrong. What I mean by that is they have taken a name that is very similar to the old Genesis titles from the 90s, which I was a gigantic fan of. And they were basically extreme sports games with a bunch of zombies and robots and orcs and stuff like that. And you play, Madden, NFL 2K, those kinds of games, that style of football, but you play it with these fake, dystopic future teams like the Motor City Maniacs. You can make up your own team as well if you want and build your own team. The 40 Nightmares, instead of the 49ers, they also live in San Francisco. Stupid shit like that. And you play football. And on the ground out there in the field, there's like holes to fall in and saws, and you can kill each other. You have this thing called dirty tricks where you can like bribe a ref, but you risk getting the ref killed the very next play. There's like all these wacky things you can do, and it's all done in this beautiful Unreal Engine 5 presentation. And I loved the first game, came out a few years ago. This is the newest one. It's in early access, and I love this game. So I'm looking forward to this. So, John, here's one of those sports games that's doing something other than sports.
That's nice.
Yeah.
This is the kind of sports game I can get behind.
Yeah, lots of fun. I hope they do a hockey game. I don't know if they will, but it's a hope I have. Next up is Quest Master. I've talked about it on the show. It's basically Mario Maker. What if Mario Maker had a Zelda Maker? And that's what these guys are making. This is not Nintendo, and I'm a little surprised they're not being sued for this yet. But basically, you can make everything a Zelda game does and more. Your character can create all kinds of puzzles, or you can create puzzles and then build entire dungeon scenarios and experiences that you can challenge yourself or your friends with or whatever. And there's a ton of public ones that you can download. They'll also be shipping it with a campaign that's not in the game yet. But when it does, it'll have a full, Zelda-like campaign in the thing. And I love the sprite work. I love it. I love the homage that it is to Zelda, but it also, in a lot of ways, feels like its own thing. It's very neat so far. I've been having a ball with this game, so I'm looking forward to that. Questmaster is that game. Another one out of early access this year, hopefully, is Dungeon Clawler. You'll hear about me talk about it again later. You already know I love it. Claw machine for your RPG mechanic. Amazing game. They should hit 1.0 this year as well. Tape to Tape, talked about that as well. That's your hockey game, kind of extreme roguelike thing. They're putting in a whole tournament mode. Very excited about this one. If you like old school 90s era hockey, that game is great. And it's a bunch of angry Canadians. Fake teams, pissy Canadian-like culture stuff in it, like piss jug type stuff. It's great.
Nice.
So you'd like it, Beau. Finally, Beau likes anything with piss jugs. Finally, Rotwood from the Clay people. Talk to Clay, whatever it is. I say this every time. They're making a roguelike that's a lot like, I don't know, sort of Hades, but not really. Isometric, all the art and animation those guys are famous for. You clearing out levels, move to the next one, unlock stuff. It's a roguelike at its core. But it's got their weird magic, and this game feels really good right now, and I can tell they're close. So I am super jazzed about this, and this video is reminding me to try co-op sometime. So there's that. And those are the ones. Those are the indie games in early access that I think are going to be this year's big bangers when they hit 1.0.
That you're currently playing.
That I'm currently playing. Thank you.
You're currently playing.
Thank you for the clarification. Next, top six indie games that are out in 2024 in 1.0 or more. So this is now games I'm playing that are out in early access. Yeah. These aren't going to
awards for those too.
Yeah, I got to let these guys know how much I love them, because I was playing some of them in early access the year prior, and now I'm playing their full versions, like Boar Blasters. Love that game. Gravity Circuit. Great game. Mega Man fans, sign up for that one. So good. Lottle Knot. You guys haven't heard me talk about Lottle Knots because I found it just the other day and I got hooked on Lottle Knot. More on that later. Xenotilt, I've talked about that. It's what do you call it?
That's pinball.
Pinball, thank you.
Pinball. Alien Pinball.
Alien Pinball. It's a video game. It's based on kind of the old TurboGrafx 16 pinball games. It has that vibe. It's awesome. Love it. Wild Bastards. John will talk more about that later. I agree with him, though. Amazing game. And that is one of my favorite indies this year. And then Balatro or Balaltro, or however we've decided to say it in 2025. That game is amazing. So that's my list there. All right. So some of you are like, Scott, tell us about your chore core. What did you play this year that made you want to go do a job in a video game form? And it is a recent entry for me. and that's Lottle-Not. Now, you're going to look at this and go, what kind of kid-ass game is this? All right?
This is your chore core. What kind of job is this?
All right, so
what's the chore? Well, I'm an underwater laser man.
Okay, so the story goes, you're in space, you go to a planet, and you crash there, and it's all water. It's a water planet. And you got to figure out ways. The story's real flimsy, but what you're there to do is to clean up the ecosystem of this ocean so that it can thrive again, and you can bring sort of balance back to this planet. And you do that by swimming around in the water with your little laser gun thing, and it's got multiple uses. You can use it to get gunk off of stuff. You can use it to suck in items. Like, I'm trying to think, like plastic bottles, glass bottles, tin cans, old screws and metal chunks, this kind of stuff that you're just finding at the bottom of this ocean. And then you take that stuff back to your little camp and you dump them into these recyclers. And the recyclers poop out basically building blocks made from those items. So if you recycled the cans into usable building things, and there's a crafting station and a bunch of upgrades, and you can go lower and lower in the water when you spend your money to build that stuff out. You clean oil spills. You eventually unlock this little scooter that lets you clean up oil right off the surface of the ocean. And then there's this weird Pokemon element where later in the game, you start to befriend these little floating guys named Littles, or Lottles rather. And they're kind of like fish, but basically they go back with you. You clean them up, they go back with you, and now you can kind of feed them and help them evolve, and eventually they'll hatch into bigger ones. Because it's kind of a collect them all kind of thing going on. It's kind of it's not required to do much with those if you don't want to. If your goal in this game is to just mostly clean up shit, then that's the chore core part. And the best comparison I would have for this is, what's the undersea scary one that everyone loved?
Subnautica.
I can never remember the name of the thing. Subnautica. This is Subnautica without all the stress and the underwater terror.
The sheer terror.
Yeah. This is more like go do a lot of the same stuff, discover technologies, build better things, do some crafting. You do have an oxygen meter that you need to kind of keep an eye on, but it's not too hard I've yet to die in the game, so you can always just go find a way to fill it. Sometimes the environment has ways of doing it. You can build things that will help you do it. If you go back home to your base, you're always breathing fine there because they have a environmental thing there. And the loop just got me. Like I'm way far in it. I'm probably, if there's an end, I'm probably near it in terms of the overworld stuff. It's very, very satisfying, and I had a ball with it. And I like the style of it. It's this kind of crunchy PS1 sort of style to everything. You can actually make that look more crunchy or less crunchy. This is, I think, the middle setting. Anyway, it's a very cool game. It has a nice message, too. Clean up the ocean. Quit being pigs.
I was going to say, our planet needs you, Scott.
I know, right? As this little guy. And then, I can go help and be the man.
Wish we had cleaning lasers.
You also can
pick everything up by hand with gloves. It sucks.
There's also a farming element. There's a lot of different fruits that grow on different plant life, and you can collect those and bring those back as well. And those can be used to feed things. There's trash bags. I love shooting those because they just poop out a ton of shit that you might need. And it's a lot of fun. I streamed some of this the other day. I had a ball streaming it. So anyway, Lottle-Not, a very cool game. My chore core game of 2024.
Damn.
Right under the wire, too. Just under the wire. Because I don't think, well, first of all, Shapes 2 is not out of early access. Second of all, I wouldn't call it chore core. It's more...
No, it's not chore core.
Automation.
It's a factory game.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's not quite the same. But this one had you doing work, and your progress was tied to how efficiently you did that work. And I'm in. I like it. All right. Games that scared me the most or made me yell a lot that I played anyway. I'm sure there were plenty that would have, but I've only played these. Silent Hill 2 Remake with John. I've only been so far in it, but it still made me freak out. And Mouthwashing. What an effing game that is. And that was less jump scares, more like existential creepy horror. More on that later, because that one also jumped way ahead in line in terms of like one of my favorite things of this year. But Mouthwashing without getting too much into it now, is a rad game. We'll talk about it more later, but
Yeah, mouthwashing is going to get represented. If you're a
Big
mouthwashing
time.
fan and you're like, oh, that's it, nope, we're going to talk about it
there's
more.
lots more to come on mouthwashing. And it says you hear that name and you really honestly have no idea what that is. Like, you don't know what this game is until you play it. And I won't even say that the name does it a disservice. It doesn't. It's actually perfect once you know what's going on. But man, what a frickin' game this is. Okay, moving on. Things or games I thought I would like but ended up loving, or thought I would not like but ended up loving. And there's only one on the list. Metaphor ReFantazio, for lots of reasons. And we'll talk more about that one later. If you're worried that's not going to get representation today, I promise you it will get more later. But that game, I didn't think I was going to like it because I'm so iffy on the Persona games. I'm so iffy on most of what that studio puts out. John did a good job of selling me on it, but it wasn't quite enough. When I finally played it, I got it, and man, do I love that game. So there was one where I was like, I don't care about that, and then I ended up really caring about it. My last three here. Game I thought I would be all into but was not. Dragon Age, The Veilguard.
Yeah, I believe the quote was, I'm definitely going to finish this.
Yeah. Not only that, it was like, this is all I care about for the rest of the year or something like that.
Yeah, I think that also got said prior to it coming out. This is the only game I'm going to play for the rest of the year.
Yep. I don't know why I thought that. I wish it was true, kind of.
Well, because you liked it. And when you like something, you're like, man, I'm going to do nothing but this.
Yeah. And I thought I would,
But-
and I just didn't. In fact, I'm so
But
unmotivated.
Lot came around and enticed you away.
It's just, I don't know what it is about Veilguard that didn't hold me. And it's not that I don't think I'll go back to it. I think this is less about the game, though, and it's more about me and my kickback whenever something's like super in the news and we're just covering it all the time, not just here, but just in general. We've talked about it before, but I just kind of get pushed
There's just a
away.
monstrous amount of games. It's pretty easy to understand why something else would come along. And
Yeah.
you know.
It also, you said you were getting way into books at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it is hard to go from reading a bunch to going, well, I need to take a break from reading. Let me go read for a while.
Yeah. I think that's probably the chief reason, because I was reading some pretty thick, heavy books with a lot of plot. And I think I was just a little burned out on having to follow characters. And because I was already doing this in this other form, these just seemed kind of, they tended to feel a little more paper thin on screen. And I was also craving, when I was playing games, I was craving thin plots. So I think John's right. I think it had a lot to do with me reading at the time, which I'm still doing. So sorry, Dragon Age, but you're probably going to get put off a little longer. Percentage of time I used my various game libraries like arcades this year. So Steam, PlayStation Network, Xbox, all those ecosystems. Mobile, didn't matter, wherever I was. The percentage of my time where I used those things like the dirty arcades they were. Meaning go in, put quarters in everything, and then leave. And not really stop and focus on anything. 82% is my estimate.
Yeah.
This was that year for me. I had a weird year, and most years I'm a little bit like this, but this year in particular, and especially the latter third of the year, I just could not find something that I wanted to just sink myself into for long, long, long periods of time. The closest I've got is this recent bout of Lotto Knot, where it really did suck me in, and I kind of forgot about other stuff for a while.
Yeah, but how many days in a row is that?
It's been, what, 3?
Yeah.
So even then it's still, but I'm always like this. John said it years ago. Like I play like an arcade sometimes. I go in and I mess with this machine here and there and I don't finish it. And I go, wow, that was neat. And I get to talk about it, but then I move on. And whatever that is, maybe it's maybe I'm just undiagnosed with ADHD or something. I don't know what it is, but whatever the reason is, this year was more than any year in recent memory. Everything sounded fun and nothing did. Some things were like short bursts. Some things were a little bit longer, but for the most part, it was like, all right, it kind of that feeling of that's enough joust for now. Let's move down to hamburger or what's the burger one? Let's go play Burger Time for a minute. And then how about a little Asteroids Deluxe? And then let's get a hot dog. and then maybe we'll come back and play Missile Command. It was like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I played this year. For good or for ill, I don't know what it makes me. It's just the way I am this year. And I don't know if that's a sign of things to come. Sometimes I just had to be grabbed by the right thing, and this year just didn't. Nothing quite got me, with the exception of a few things. MMOs, WoW did this to me, especially during the early phases of the expansion where I was just in there all the time. And
you had a decent long run with Final Fantasy XIV.
Final Fantasy XIV is another good example of where I focus. And MMOs are good for that because the distraction is in the world, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in the world going, should I do this? Nah, let's go do a dungeon. Nah, maybe I should quest. Like I'm having that same arcade thing, but it's in the world. And WoW, same thing. I think the closest I came to just pure focus this year, where I was like, I'm just going to focus on you right now and for however long I'm going to be playing it, was the initial launch of Shapes 2 with a Z. I was very focused. You have to be with games like that. And I will continue to be as that game gets more content or is getting closer to 1.0. I don't want to burn myself out.
I'd say you're pretty focused too on raiding.
Oh, and raid, yeah, and raid. Like I say, WoW.
In the raid, you're the glue that holds it all together.
The WoW part of my life this year was definitely the most consistent, and then everything else felt like I was putting quarters and stuff, and it's just a weird feeling. So anyway, that was me. 82%. That's my estimate. I'm not basing that on any science of any kind. I just made that number up. Just feels right. And then big games from this year I expect to play and enjoy. Big games from 2024 that I expect to enjoy and play this year, 2025. The Great Circle, the Indiana Jones business, and Astrobot. Those are the two I'm looking forward to like finally dusting off.
Quarter style or actual time style?
Actual time style. That's what I want to do. I don't like quarter style. I guess they're both. Any game can be quarter style, right?
I'm just saying, you're looking forward to playing Great Circle, but do you think it'll be a 2 to 6 hour deal or like the full?
I would like to beat it. I've beaten their previous games. I beat the 2 Wolfenstein games. I didn't play the third one, the newer ones. Loved them both. I would think that I could get through another one of their games, and so this will probably be the year that I do it. I just never got around to it. It's on my hard drive just sitting there. I never launched it once.
So, you own Indie. Damn.
Yeah, I have it. Astrobot I have on PlayStation. Just haven't hit play. So part of me was like, you should wait till next year when Sony puts that out on PC. But it's fine there.
Indie's on PC.
I think Astrobot would probably
Astrobot
better to keep on PlayStation. I don't know that it will come to PC, but also two, I feel like it's so tied to the controller. And sure, you could do a PS5 controller on PC, but it's just so tied to that controller. I don't know if I would want to play Astrobot on PC.
It's a good point. It's like playing Mario 64 on a PlayStation. It's like, why would you do that to yourself? You need the experience where it lived. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I got to play it on a controller that's vaguely banana-ish.
Such a terrible thing. So great in some ways, and then it mainstreamed the analog stick, as shitty as it was. But what were we doing there, really? With that 3 prongs and this looked like a big fork. What were we doing? Anyway, those are all my uniquely to me categories. Let's get on to the best 2024 gaming moments, and this is for all of us. These are 1 to 5. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I made this category real general this year. Kind of let everybody have some creativity. It can be just a news story we thought was cool and got really excited about, a fight from a game experience, or experience around gaming in general. It's really kind of anything that kind of made our year in video gaming.
Love it. Great category. Actually, we should give some, I guess this isn't preemptive, some post-emptive credit to John for, he did this last year too. He's really good at categorizing all this stuff into like nice, beautiful chunks. And you did a great job this year, as usual.
Thank you.
Let's start with this one. Best 2024 gaming moments. This is like experiences, stuff we saw, fights, that kind of stuff. I'll start and rip through mine. I feel like I've been talking too much, but I'll be fast. Number 5, my daughter getting her 5-year-old creating whole cities in Minecraft, or as he calls it, Ninecraft. He can't help it. He just cannot say it right. And I hope he never does, because I love it. He loves Minecraft. He's gotten so into it. He can't wait to show me the stuff he built. Like, it's just so much fun to have a new generation doing stuff. And he's just about to turn 6, so he's, got to hurry up and enjoy this stuff while you can.
That's awesome.
Number 4, how awesome a claw machine mechanic works as a roguelike. Dungeon Clawler is...
Clawler.
It's hard to say, but I love that game.
It really is, but it's a fine name. It's fine.
I love that game. And I know a bunch of you gotten hooked on it too. Thanks for all your nice messages. I told you I wasn't crazy. That game rocks. Let's see. Number 3 for me, having secret level end up being everything I'd hoped for and more.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
It was good. It was really good.
Except for the last one. It's terrible.
And if Mega Man had been a little longer.
Yeah, longer Mega Man. Get rid of that Sony thing at the end. I hated that one. And give me 20 more Warhammer 40K stories.
and then that too.
That's all I'm asking for is all this extra work that they have to do. Okay, number 2, finding out I'm actually not only tanking, but liking it in Raid and was afraid of it for no reason for almost 20 years. That was a big revelation for me. I actually enjoy tanking.
Yeah.
Unless I'm the one getting everyone killed. If I'm getting everyone killed, I kind of hate it. But
we're doing progression right now on the last boss, and it's pretty tough going, but that's normal.
That's normal, sure. But for me, it's all, this is new territory in a game I've played forever and have all this history with, and to finally pick up tanking and go, oh, you know what? I actually give credit where it's due. Final Fantasy XIV was what made me believe that I could tank. Partly because that game is very welcoming to people who want to try different things, and the stigma is not the same. And they also were, first with like letting some of these dungeons run themselves a little bit. You just play a role in it and not have other people there to yell at you or whatever. So it just made me come out of my shell a little bit, and then doing it for real and WoW. Also, I guess some of the inspiration goes to Metzen, who, after some long phone conversations, we talked about the origin of his choice of his character of choice, why the Paladin means so much to him, how he'll only play in tank mode, and all these conversations we had about that inspired me to choose that as the tank spec I wanted to play, and then just deciding to go for it and to do it. It's just been more fun than I expected, and I really enjoy it. Like, tanking's fun. It's a nice change. Although GURP's pissed at me. He's just sitting there. Nothing's happening with him right now. I got him to level, but, that's it. And then finally, just being buried in incredible indie content. It is the golden age of indie games. I love this stuff. If you listen to the show, you know that every week I bring 1, 2, sometimes 3 dinky games that no one's heard of. I seek them out. I love to find them. I love when they're a gem. They're not all perfect, but honestly, the percentage of great is so much better than any of us should expect. I think the indie scene right now is insane, and I love it. So that is my number 1 favorite thing about this last year in gaming. John, let's go to you. I just realized we probably should have done that whole, here's my 5, here's your 5, there's John.
No, 5. I think this is fine. This is fun. We can switch it up as we go.
That's true.
But I think this worked great.
Just occurred to me. All right. So John, tell us yours. Right.
My top 2024 gaming moments. I have an honorable mention because it was a phenomenal gaming moment followed by turning into the biggest cock tease in video gaming history.
Oh my.
And that is the dungeon and the introduction of the Golden City from Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. Now, this is a dungeon that you go through and you get to the end of it and it opens up and it's this amazing purple corridor with this giant golden gateway at the end, and you fight a truly massive golem defending it. And through the entire thing, you've heard tales of the fabled Golden City, and you get there and it's turning into this really incredible, spectacular moment. You defeat the dungeon, you're there, you're ready to see it, and they go, well, the door is locked and we'll have to come back and do this another time. So it was a real height going through that dungeon. I was like, yes, I love everything about this. And then all of a sudden they're just like, we'll deal with that later.
Was that because they're
And,
not done, or what's the reason it's not done?
The story has some issues, and pacing is one of the issues in Dawn Trail. They did not think that it would bother people to be at the gates and then forcibly turned around to go do other bullshit for a little while.
That's crazy to me.
That was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
People were bothered. I was one of them. So the stuff that I'm actually going to give some recognition to, number 5, not number 1, number 5, dropping for democracy in Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
I think everybody who played Helldivers 2 can truly appreciate that first moment where you and your friends, or maybe you by yourself foolhardily, get in the little tube and get shot like a bullet at a planet while some amazing music plays. That was a insanely cool moment. You know, you get to see whatever your friend's ship's name is or your ship's name, and just get rocketed down to a planet. Like,
The ombudsman of family values.
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna stick with me.
I mean, the first time you hear that, and you just go flying down there.
Yeah, everybody knows what this music means.
Yeah. It's something.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, and it's so in me now. I feels like this is a game. This is a 30-year franchise, and we just know this music, and we know that feeling. And they did such a good job of conveying an epic vibe and also satirizing the epicness of it at the same time. It's unbelievable, that game, what it did. Just tonally, like, forget about all the other stuff about it. It's a great game. It's fun. It's difficult. It's all the stuff that it is. But just the tone they set right out of the gate is just masterful. So good. Anyway, continue on.
Next, number 4, I'm going to go with a news story. The next Like a Dragon game will be a pirate game starring Majima. After I played Infinite Wealth, I thought, okay, I raced through Like a Dragon, The Man Who Erased His Name. I just marathoned Infinite Wealth. I'm done with Yakuza, the Like a Dragon series. I can take a break from this for a while. They're probably going to do some offshoot game in the meantime while they work towards whatever's next, because that's typically the pattern they follow. This is whatever they announce is not something I have to worry about. And then they went and announced the thing that is the funniest, best thing I've ever heard in my life. And I couldn't be more excited for it, in spite of having just been playing a ton of these games. So I have to recognize when you think you're fed up and somebody goes, hey, you want some more? And you go, yes, that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my number 4. Number 3, the moment I kept asking Scott as he played through the game, did you get to it? Did you get to it?
Yeah.
Did you get to it? Is The King's Funeral from Metaphor ReFantasio.
Yep.
This is a fairly early moment, so there's slight spoilers here, but I'll try and talk around them. It's fairly early in the game. It is a moment that has been kind of built up to. It's kind of your first big culmination. And considering the king dies in the intro, don't consider that a spoiler. He dies literally in the opening.
Yeah, the starting of the game. There's nothing weird there. Yeah.
But it is the moment that the narrative really shifts. You get introduced to Louise, who's going to be, your primary antagonist for the game. And you get to see, like, he's an awesome character as a bad guy. Like, you think it's going to be some big subtle thing of like, oh, did this guy secretly assassinate the king? No, they say, hey, Louise, did you kill the king? He's like, yep. Publicly in front of everybody. He's just, yeah, he sucked, so I killed him.
Yeah.
And you have all these crazy moments of just meeting cool characters, and then the game shifts. And it's what I always ask Scott was, did you get to the giant head yet? Because you think you know what that game is about until you don't. And then all of a sudden the game goes, hey, this JRPG is no longer going to be about avenging a murdered king. We're going to make it all a big analogy for running for political office.
And when he says big, you're not even, John's not saying big head in like a metaphorical way. I mean, it's all, the whole game's kind of metaphorical, but He's literally talking about a very large head. And I didn't see that coming. I didn't know what you meant. Like, I thought, does he mean like someone's head going to explode? Is it going to be like, I didn't know what you meant. I got there and my first inclination was to stop everything and get on Discord and go, I got to the big head. Because I knew it the second I saw it. I was like, holy shit, that's a big head.
Yeah, it was a crazy moment in that game. The entire game shifts at that moment. You kind of understand where they're going with it. And absolutely, a big moment in one of my favorite games full of big moments. Number 2 for me is all of the Arcadian raid in Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail, or at least what they released in 2024. I love raiding in Final Fantasy. They decided to do an entire set of raiding that was inspired by wrestling. And I don't know why they decided to make something just for me, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. This was an incredible set of raid encounters, both mechanically, whether that was the first encounter where you have characters damaging the floor and then knocking characters back, and if the floor is shattered, it will shatter and you'll fall through it, to other characters that are trying to charm you and you have to play mini games to avoid being charmed, up to this fight, which is the one Scott's showing, which has an incredibly awesome banger of a song. I don't do best songs of the year, but this would be on there if it was, where you have a gun-toting zebra lady literally pulling out a massive cannon and detonating entire sections of the arena. And through most of these fights, you have a little Lalafeld providing color commentary, much like a wrestling match. In fact, in one of the matches, a wrestler is actually disqualified and beats up the ref so he can keep fighting. It's absolutely in my wheelhouse of things, and I loved every fight in this raid series. It was so good.
Something I noticed this year that WoW did is this was the year of WoW straight lifting mechanical ideas from raids in Final Fantasy. There's stuff in this raid we're in now that they've never done before. And I mean things like giant circles showing up and then you having to get to another part of where the circle is, or the way those webs shoot out and create like this big crisscross stuff. The way the WoW team has been inspired by the mechanics in regular raiding in Final Fantasy. And I'm not even meaning this as a negative thing. I think it's great that they lifted it because it really refreshed how those encounters feel. So like all that crazy shit on the ground, guess what? Now WoW's doing that stuff. It's all because of Final Fantasy. So thanks, Yoshi P. Whee! Anyway.
All right, number 1.
Yeah.
It's not going to surprise anybody because I think I said this a couple episodes ago. Best gaming moment of this year was fighting Mesmer in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Sometimes a boss fight just hits right, and it is the right kind of difficult while still being the right kind of fun, while falling in the proper meme territory, and taking my time and trying to learn this fight properly and not cheese it or anything like that. I just had a really great time with it. The boss was challenging, getting up to the snake form and dying instantly, and the frustration that came from, if I could just see more than 1 second of the second form of him, I'd be able to do this. All of that was just a big blast. He's not the final boss of the expansion by any stretch, but he was the most memorable and I think standout fight. Fighting Mesmer was absolutely the boss of the year and one of the most fun bits of gaming I did all year.
Well, when the news came out that you were going to choose this as one of your 5, I reached out and he said this. Oh, that was his answer. Was that?
Yeah. Well, make him happy, I guess.
Do what you got to do. Beau, over to you, man. Your 6 favorite things that happened this year. 6 of them.
Yeah, I put an extra on there just because it was tough to decide. All right.
That's fine. I did an honorable mention. That's basically 6.
So counting from 6 to 1. 6 was net frying the hell out of people in the conclusion of Phantom Liberty if you sided with Somi. So half of people didn't see this unless you did both choices and went back and played it. But there's a certain point where things are looking grim. All the walls are closing in. All the enemies are coming back. And in a desperate Hail Mary, you link up with Somi, and because she's linked into the black wall, which is the internet, and you just have you basically get magic powers in the cyberpunk universe, where through the black wall you can just close your fist and kill people. And in the clip you're showing, it's just a cinematic moment showing it, but like you get to actually do that in the game, where you're stumbling along with her over your shoulder, and you're connected via a link to her, and the only button you have is to close your fist and just crumple people in front of you. And it's truly an amazing moment in the game. And that expansion was really good, and that culmination, that feeling of like, oh man, I have real power in this game, was pretty awesome. So that was a big one for me.
Good call.
The next one, because this is why 6 and 5 are kind of the same thing, because they're both cyberpunk related. That's Batman. That's
I went down to the. Sorry.
I don't have clips for all of them.
Yeah.
The next one is the Mr. Blue Eyes conspiracy rabbit hole. After concluding Phantom Liberty, I know John and I talked a bunch of Discord about the game, and I watched countless videos about a character in Cyberpunk that makes cameo appearances and appears at the end and stuff. Implying what might come up in a sequel, who he might work for. It might not even be in the sequel, who knows? But there's this Mr. Blue Eyes that shows up, and he might work for Night Corp, and he's involved in secret mind control projects throughout the city. And, with all the cyberware that people are wearing, of course, you've got huge vectors of vulnerability that, of course, people are going to want to take care of, right? And we're even seeing a little bit of that now with big tech companies trying to be power players in the sphere of influence on our behavior and things that we do. So I loved that rabbit hole. That was big for me. It was like a whole week of just like, man, this game is like deep. Like the writing team they got on there, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Next is Becoming the Batman. The next thing, number 4, was Becoming the Batman. Batman VR is an incredible experience, just for actually getting to give you a taste of what it's like to be the Bat of Vengeance. It does cool things, like when you glide, you got to hold your hands out and you glide just like him. In this one, you don't kill people, you just got to beat them up and you pound them into piss, and you don't got to worry about, if you really punch someone, you'll break their nose. But with comic book action, you'll always punch correctly and never murder anybody. It always just works out. And it just, the thunk they got, like the movie, like every time you punch, it goes. So you're punching air, but you really get this feeling of like, I'm punching bad guys. I mean, I don't know. Batman is a phenomenal game, and a phenomenal reason I have a headset. And I haven't thrown my back out much this year, but playing this game, I definitely had sore back every time.
Yeah. Does that still bugging you, or to go away after a while?
Well, I mean, if I play for an hour or two, I'm gonna feel it. I'm like super out of shape, and I think even just my age, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
VR is kind of rough in that way, but it's fun. It's a good time.
Cool.
So that's Becoming the Batman. I really enjoyed that. Next was rating in Season of Discovery this year, and rating in retail with the Core Guild. In both cases, I've been an on and off WoW player, but this year has marked a year where I have been probably played the most and been the most involved in regular rating activities the entire year, and it's been fun. We had fun moments in Season of Discovery they're now Team Fusion in the retail guild, so they're the
ones who are always fighting against timing, or like who's going to get her down first.
Yeah. So they're more like, we're more the gentleman's club, and they're more like the rabble, where if you go and hang out in there, the jokes you'll hear will be probably bluer, and more questionable. It's a surly bunch, but they're great. And then we got our bunch, which are like, we still all have the funny, we still have that crass humor, but it's not like, the vibe's different. There's two vibes, and those are the classic pals from SOD come to retail.
They haven't they haven't killed her yet, right? They haven't taken down Anthrax.
Some others. No, we're neck and neck. I think everyone's making it to phase 3. So
okay.
It's not really a competition. We're all one guild. Let's give each other a hug.
Sounds like a competition.
I kind of want it to
It's
be
the
just
raid leaders.
friendly.
It's Centrifuge and Tanner. They're into it.
It's a
They're
it's a
they're
friendly
always
thing.
like reminder, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm just happy.
I'm
if
not
somebody...
raiding. I don't have really a horse. I do kind of have a horse in this race, but I want it to be a competition. I hope you guys smoke them.
I know, but this is what stokes division amongst the family. Like, come on now.
I'm with
Anyways,
John. I want to beat him. So yeah.
See
what we can do.
I mean, I say that, but I've raided with both teams. I go and moonlight over there, and I'm one of the traitors, I believe.
So you're holding us back. So when you
no
fell off,
wonder he doesn't care. He's like, as someone on both teams, this is not a race.
Yep. The closest
Well,
we got.
I'm not on both teams. I've just gone over there because I'm on core. I'm an ambassador.
You're an
These
ambassador
are
of
folks
core.
that are part of the
Exactly.
community. I'm doing my Padme duties.
That's right.
Spoken like somebody wants more loot.
That's what it sounds like to me. Here's
I get
also
squat from raid. If you want loot, do not go to raid. Loot and raid suck.
all you get
I
is
always,
crested.
I always walk out with intestines and spider webs, and that's all I get.
Yeah, I haven't got anything big either. But here's the thing. We got her to 15%, and then Beau fell off the platform. Now, I'm not saying he did that on purpose, but I am saying that maybe. You remember that?
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I?
We got her.
Yeah, was that the 15%
I think that
didn't
was the
get yeeted.
15% poll, I think. Yeah.
I'd say you just threw him under the bus, but he was already off a platform. So
I'm like the highest eye level. It's funny. I'm the highest eye level, but not the highest. I've got all the gear. I've grinded out, but I still am not like.
I think it's our controller guy who's on the hunter. He's still leads DPS all the time.
No, it's our monk is.
Is it the monk? I can't remember who's
The
winning.
monk. The monk is kind of going nuts.
Can I tell you how nice it is to not worry about my DPS? Freaking love it. Being a tank that's one of the great advantages. I don't have to think about it. There are other stuff you got to think about, but it's not the same. I don't have to compare myself to 20 other people all the time. I hate that.
Here's my secret, though, Scott. Even as a DPS, I don't care about my DPS.
We know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
But,
The game's...
The problem with DPS, the nice thing about tank is just what button do I need to press now? Let me press that button.
Yeah.
DPS is you can always be pressing all the buttons faster. You're like press this button, press this. It's for DPS to go, everything's got to go off cooldown, right?
Yeah.
Can't just be like, I'll do an auto shot.
No.
Well, I'll give it 20 seconds and barrage. I'll throw a barrage in there. You can't. But as a tank, you just got to press your defensives.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing you got to press off cooldown, which is, for warrior, it's shield block and ignore pain. And then everything else is do I need to taunt now? No, I'm not going to press that button.
Yeah.
Press taunt when it's time to press taunt.
Yeah.
You still have to time it right, when you're doing the swaps and stuff, but you don't have to press it. You don't need high APM in that way.
No.
You need more battlefield, situational awareness stuff more than you need APM. But rotate, that's probably true for healers too, because overhealing's bad, waste of mana and cooldowns. But DPS, it's how fast are you pressing your buttons? You could be pressing them faster, and it's after 50 pulls of carpal tunneling yourself to death, you're just why do I play DPS?
I have massive respect for healers, but I don't know what they're doing. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just don't.
They're keeping you alive.
Yeah, they're keeping us alive. Everybody seems to live longer.
Is that a shot at the healers? I don't know.
No, it's not a shot.
I don't know what them healers are doing.
It's not even close to a shot. They're just they get the job done, and how they got there, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't.
One thing I know about healers is they put the circles on the ground. So you see those happy circles that heal you?
Yeah.
Stand in them. That's pretty good.
The monk mist one's my favorite.
They dispel and shit. That's useful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they do.
They're doing a great job. You don't even know they're there.
That's what I'm saying is they're killing it, but I don't mechanically think about what they have to do to make that happen. And I'm sure it's crazy. And I'm sure there's certain mods that help, but I don't think, I say this after 20 years of finally deciding tanking might be fun. Maybe I'll have a turn on the healing and try that.
I've done healing in SOD as for a second when we had running 2 raids and stuff. So I have some recent experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've healed before. It's super casual or super panicky, depending on what's happening.
Yeah.
Like either your tanks are taking like no damage and there's little incidental damage. I'll put a heal there, put a heal there. And then all of a sudden, everyone's health bar is 20%. And you're just like, holy shit, fuck. You know, and it's like that. So, you know, it's a,
Yeah.
I haven't ever done it in WoW, but I did do it in Final Fantasy, where I was like, you know what, Final Fantasy Dungeons and Raiding is easy. I could probably actually learn healing. Because this is not stressful at all, or it can't be more stressful than what you do as DPS and tanking. And then I learned that yes, it can be.
Maybe more so. Maybe more
It's
so.
fine because at least everybody's too nice to tell you how bad you're doing. But I was like, oh, I found the stress. Here it is. Here's where it was. It was here all along.
There's lots of pitfalls. Mana management too, because if you burn your, if you're just like, I'll just heal constantly, well then you'll run out of resources. So you got to be careful of that too.
Yeah. And how they're doing that, and how well, I obviously haven't played any healers, but if I did, I'd. You know, all I know is that the letter H is tied to a quick heal on myself because I still have that even in tank form, and I use that occasionally. That's the healing I do.
Your lay on hands?
No, it's the lay on hands thing has like 5-minute cooldown. It's I forgot the name of it. It's a very quick one.
Flash heal.
Flash heal. Thank you. That's it. John knows the name of my freaking heal.
The rogue Final Fantasy player knows all these spell names. Put me on
John may
next
not be
Jeopardy
playing
right
World of War.
now.
You can take the World of Warcraft out of John, but you can't take John out of World of Warcraft.
Or the other way.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I think when you were hiding in giant bodies so you didn't have to do trash, you were reading up on other people's spell names. That's what was going on.
Yeah, because if anybody accused me of anything, I wanted to be back and be like, you don't even know what Flash heal is.
Learn your class, noob.
Yeah.
All right, Beau. Sorry, we took a.
So rating has been fun.
Yeah.
It's been a good experience this year, and it's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer mayhem. We have a standing Sunday game. We've been playing almost a year and a half this stupid game. Like
Same run? Oh my gosh.
Yes, same run. I'm so ready to be done. But literally, like this week, Okay, so in Baldur's Gate in Act 3, John will appreciate this. I know you haven't played that far, Scott, but there's like people dying, right? There's a murder cult, and you know, there's murder happening, and you're finding bodies and body parts. But also, you find a list of people, and you can like warn those people that the murder cult's after them. And sometimes you catch them in the act, and there's a clothier, a guy who sells clothes, right?
Yeah.
And you catch like the murderer in the act of killing them, and we're like, oh crap, and you know, we found him, and that's great. You know, so we're gonna attack the assassins and save the guy. And like, Mike, after a year and a half, still isn't great at wizarding, and he walks in and he lightning bolts everything, including the guy we were to save. And we were like, Mike, what are you doing?
Not Crofton, but Mike did it? Not Crofton.
No, Mike's okay. So Crofton's like derpy as a rogue, but we have to talk about Mike because like Mike could spend some time learning. Like the meme right now is let's log in a bit earlier so I can learn my spells. And we've been doing that for a year and a half, and he still messes them up. Last week, I posted a clip of this because it was just so mind blowing. We decided to sneak into a fireworks factory. So there's a plot line where there's immigrants to Baldur's Gate. They're escaping to Baldur's Gate. But people in Baldur's Gate, you know, there's some people that don't like immigrants.
Yeah.
And there's a plot where some people are stuffing explosives into teddy bears and giving them to kids, the kid immigrants, right?
Yeah.
And so there's, you know, you got to go find the fireworks factory. There's a whole investigation that goes on. So we're sneaking in to try and ambush the people where the gunpowder is. And I jump in, combat starts, and Mike's like, okay, you want me to shoot my fireball in? And I didn't catch it in time. And I was like, yeah, just shoot it over there. And then he fires it, and we all realize what he's done. He shot a fireball into a fireworks factory. And we're sneaking in on the roof. He gets blown 5 miles off the roof and dies. And everything explodes. And I'm like, Mike, you shot a fireball into a fireworks factory. He's like, well, my job here is done.
Yeah.
And it's just been every week it's something.
Do you guys save before those encounters, or you guys?
We don't reload. The only reload we did was when you first get to the Tiefling circle,
Yeah.
It's tense. And so Pepperoni Pete, he just walked past, like the druids are there and like, don't go past us. And he's like, I don't think he's used to role playing games because he's like, whatever, I'll walk where I want. He walks past them, and it triggers a cutscene where all the druids slay all the tieflings. And he's like, "Can we reload this? I feel bad. I like caused a genocide of an entire people. I just wanted to walk over there." And I'm like, "Have you never been in a standoff?" if they're like, "We'll walk any further and we'll kill everyone," they tend to mean it. But video games don't often do stuff like this, right? Have these huge consequences for your decisions that aren't pre-scripted to happen one specific way. Which is why Baldur's Gate's really fun. Anyways, but no, we don't reload saves unless something like mind-numbingly catastrophic like that happens, right? So, yeah.
Well, I love it. The fact that this game is still going. I thought you guys were on to like your third run.
We're close to the end. We're close. We've done like most of the side stuff in Act 3, and we're gonna start going after the Gortash and Orin and finishing up the game. But
all right. Well, number one. What do you got?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Number one is Helldivers 2, but for a different reason than John. It's appreciation for the fact that the game allows you to derp so hard with friendly fire and just screwing yourself. You can summon your own ammunition resupply and have it land on your head and kill yourself. You know, like there's just as cool as you can look with all the great cool things and cool equipment you can use. The game kind of is making fun of you, and in a weird way, right? You have all this cool stuff, but you can't really buy your way into being a badass soldier. You're just
You're fodder.
You're fodder, and you're clumsy and just a normal person, just with a lot of guns.
Yeah.
And you get your cool moments where you get to do cool things, but I think that's what makes the cool moments sweeter, is knowing that, when you mess up, even if you just mess up diving to a patch of like stuff that blows up at your face, or whatever.
It does provide some of the funniest moments of my year in terms of games, and that clip of Crofton flying over and hitting his back on the ridge in front of you is still...
Yeah, he's like jetpacking. He looks so cool jetpacking, and then he clips his chest into the side of a rock and does a flip over, and it's like looks like a now college humor fail video.
That's so good.
Like they had to put that in. Like they were like, deliberate with that design and that element of the game that like you can look stupid. A lot of games don't have options to let you look stupid, and this game includes them, which I love.
Encourages them. And without you even knowing it, you just do stupid shit and then laugh and then keep playing. I can't think of another game quite like it.
I don't know what clip I put here, but there's that one clip where John and I are talking, we're playing together, and they're all in a town, and I'm running to catch up. Oh yeah, that's the one that's
Is this
linked.
the clip?
And then he's
Okay.
like, I'm like, this game is so cool. Mechanics are like real life, and then a nuclear explosion goes off and kills my entire squad. I'm like, what happened?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
And it not just,
And
mean, it's one thing to say, oh, there was a nuke that went off. It's such an awesome sight. Like,
yeah, like they make it look like a real, like actual terrifying explosion that three idiots were like handling explosives that were not qualified to handle and just blew themselves up.
It's so good.
Like it's moments like that just make me go like, oh my God, this game is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's really good. I like
Number
it.
one for me.
Number one for you, and very nice. All right, now we move on to John's Game of the Year award categories. John, lay it on us.
These are my special categories for 2024. The first category is the best I learned moments of 2024. These are things I learned this year that I didn't know before and I appreciate now. Number 3, how to play and finish a Persona-like game. I've been a big fan of the Persona series. I've never beaten one. And Metaphor ReFantasio is not a Persona game, but it's a Persona-like game. And damn it, I finished it.
Yeah, you did.
I did it. I beat the game. I was really proud of it. I was like, man, look at me powering through it for the first time.
Yeah, you picked a good one too, because it turns out that's a kick-ass game. If you're gonna beat one of those Aldous games, guess what one is good to beat? That one.
That's a pretty good one to beat.
Yeah.
It made me want to play other Persona games because I'm like, oh, you can do this.
Aldous or Atlas? Is it Aldous?
Atlas.
Atlas. Why do I keep saying Aldous? I'm thinking of PageMaker
Shrug.
way back in the day.
Alan Atlas.
Just ignore me. That's so dumb that I do that. I do it every
He's
time.
in MASH, right? Alan Atlas.
Yeah, Alan Adlis famously played Hookai.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hookai.
Number 2 on my list. How to finally beat Mega Man X3.
Oh, have you told us
Now-
how you beat it? I don't know. I know you've told us you beat it, but did you
I
ever?
beat it Jamie, I beat it multiple times.
Yeah.
And Mega Man X3 holds a very special place in my heart because I got Mega Man X originally. I loved that game. The sequel I loved even more at the time. And I was a big fan of Zero. Zero was the character that I thought was the coolest. And then they're like, oh, we're doing Mega Man X3 and you can play as Zero. I didn't know how shitty that was going to be, but at the time I was like, this is exciting. And the game came out in like a limited release because it was very late Super NES release.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it anywhere. I had a friend that had it. He wouldn't let me play it. He's like, no, don't touch it. And
Why wouldn't he let you play it? Just curious. It only
it was like, I don't know.
Your
Kids
friend
are
was,
like that sometimes.
yeah.
Sometimes friends would let you play their game. Sometimes friends wouldn't. I don't want to throw stones because I was also like that.
Oh.
Because I lent Mega Man 1 to a friend, the original Mega Man, and that dude kept it. And that was the first and only time in my life where I had to have a dad go over to the house and be like, would you give him his game back? These things are expensive.
Oh wait, your dad confronted the kid, not their dad. Like
He confronted their dad because I told the kid I need it back. The kid was like, no, I'm not doing it. And I was like, I got to get my game back.
he's a
And
little
so my
shit.
dad-
That kid sucks.
My dad went over to his house and was like, hey, we need to get this game back. And we had to go that way. So, yeah. So I was stingy with my stuff, too, sometimes. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to fault somebody else for being stingy.
Yeah, but you didn't keep anybody's game, you know?
No, I didn't do that.
No.
But anyway, Mega Man X3, I finally got. My parents ordered it from like a Babbage's or Software Etc. in New York City to be sent all the way to Arizona in order to get me
Jeez.
this game one holiday
Babbage's.
season. And I like that Beau says he's from the land of
Babbage's.
Canada, the land of weirdly named shops.
Yeah.
I'm from
And
the
he's
land,
like, Babbage's, Jesus.
I'm from the land of where Zellers is a thing.
Well, Babbage's was huge here, but they got bought out by. How did it work? Was it Software Etc. first, and then, or maybe GameStop bought them all out? I can't remember what happened
GameStop
there.
eventually owned them all. I don't remember if there was an order to it or not,
Yeah.
but they all became GameStop. yeah.
Babbage sounds weird to my name. It's like somebody misspelled cabbage or something.
It is weird. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
It's-
you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you all throw down Tim Hortons like it's the most normal place in the world to go. It's not any weirder than that.
I guess so.
Oh, sorry.
Babbage doesn't tweak my brain like Hortons does.
Well, you know what tweaks my brain is this chiptune music got loud all of a sudden. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. John just was giving you a little bit of a bed and it lost its mind.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I finally got the game, and turns out Mega Man X3 was a giant leap in difficulty, and I could not beat that game. And even though it was the one I was most excited for, it kind of fell on this, like, I guess I don't like Mega Man X3 that much. This year, I finally learned how to play it. I finally learned how to beat it. I can do it now whenever I want to. And I actually get to appreciate that game for what it is so many years later.
That's
so
fantastic.
That felt like a big accomplishment to me.
Yeah.
And my number one...
Oh, number one. Wait, don't I have a thing? Wait.
Yep.
Okay.
Number one.
All right, number one.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
I finally learned something about Warhammer 40K.
All right.
I've loved the universe from like outside looking in.
I guess
know,
we didn't
like-
teach him anything, even though we've
like-
talked about it 100 times.
Wow, look at that. Yeah. Oh, Space Marines. Like I knew the most surface level stuff about Warhammer 40K. I was like, all right, Space Marines. Clearly there's orcs somewhere in there. It's fine. This year, because of Space Marine 2, I started looking up lore. I watched videos. I learned things. And the more I learned, the more I liked. It was not a case of, man, I'm imagining such grand things. The reality is so disappointing. This was the opposite. The more I learned, the more I enjoyed.
Nothing
Also,
wrong
don't
with
know
that.
why. Like for the longest time, I mean, because they look cool. Space Marines were the be all end all for me. But it's a case of the more I learned about the orcs, I was like, why aren't the orcs the only things people talk about? This is absolutely the funniest, best part of Warhammer 40k. The orcs are absolutely where it's at.
Oh
So,
yeah, I still love the orcs, but it's good to have a little broader thing going on. I mean, it's funny that the game got you to go down some of those rabbit holes. The game got me to download 4. I haven't cracked them yet because I was busy with other books, but 4 Warhammer books, 40k books that I've never read. I never wrote any of them. I just haven't read some of them. But I read like the Horus Heresy stuff way back in the day. There's been a ton since. Got a bunch of recommendations from a bunch of listeners. Metzen, a few other people piped in. As soon as I finish this last book I'm on right now, which is totally unrelated, I'm feasting upon the 40k lore. I can't wait.
yeah.
So we had similar inspiration there. It sounds like both got excited about it.
I think the Necrons are pretty cool.
Necrons are cool.
Necrons are cool, but I don't know any other media where something works because you believe in it enough. and that's just not since the movie Hook has there been a race of people more inspired by if I just believe hard enough it's real.
Yeah.
The orcs are basically the Lost Boys at dinner, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's so good.
Orcs are amazing. Yep.
I love it. Anyway, that's that. Here's the best non-game 2024 media I consumed. Not really in a list. It's just the movie, TV, and comics that I liked this year. But starting with an honorable mention because it didn't come out in 2024, but this is when I watched it. I finally watched The Batman.
Yeah.
I have no idea why I didn't watch this movie. I'm a huge Batman fan. I was excited for it. I was certainly not one of those people that was like, ooh, Battinson, no thank you. It was not how I felt about it.
Right.
It looked fine, but it felt like it came out and it felt like nobody really cared. And the only things I really heard about it was people saying, oh, I can't believe the Penguin makeup's so good. And then I heard the movie so dark, and I was burned by Game of Thrones by that. So maybe I took that too seriously. I don't know. But I didn't hear anything great about it. And I was just like, okay, I guess the Batman kind of stunk. And then I watched The Batman, and it's my favorite Batman movie, and I'm so annoyed that I waited this long on it.
It's so much better than... It's so good. I'd love that. I'd love it. The only thing I don't like about it is how long between movies that it is, because I think Matt Reeves has a vision. I want to see it play out. I know the pandemic has something to do with this as to the first movie's production and then money afterwards and all this other stuff, but get on it, man, before Pattinson's
like,
40 or whatever he's going to be.
Yeah, he goes from year 2 to year 57 really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got my favorite version of Gotham, probably. I am
car?
a fan of
You like-
favorite version of the Batmobile, favorite version of Batman.
Yeah.
We still haven't really seen his Bruce Wayne because he's not trying to be Bruce Wayne in this movie. Got a stellar Alfred. Got probably my best favorite depiction of Commissioner Gordon.
Yep, loved him in it.
Not that it was a big, competition. Best version of the Riddler I've seen on film, but yeah, I just absolutely loved it. It was stellar. So honorable mention that I wanted to gush over the Batman.
Nice.
But my favorite movie this year is Transformers 1. And I don't know if it's the best movie I saw this year, but you want to talk about going from a movie that I was, even at the height of my midlife, all of a sudden I love Transformers crisis. I was like, with Beau, I was like, this movie kind of... Maybe I understand why Beau didn't like the D&D movie. I watched the trailer for this movie, and it made me retroactively think Beau might have been right about the D&D movie. That's how bad the trailer was. I was like, maybe Transformers 1 is going to be the worst thing ever, but at least the kids will probably like it. I was not ready for it to be maybe my favorite piece of Transformers media that I've consumed in a long time. It was so good.
+1 to that. I love this thing so much. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely loved it.
Beau, have you seen it yet? Did Beau ever get around to it? No?
No, I'm imminent. Yes.
I want your
I am
I want to
worried
hear
that
your
I've
take.
overhyped it for Beau, but
No.
Watch the
That's all right.
trailer again before you watch the movie. Remind yourself of how bad it looked right before you.
That's how you do it. Watch that.
I
And
mean, I'm already going in with a skeptical eye because it's still not G1, but I'm open. I'm open to enjoying myself. So
it's like G.5 sort of, kind of.
Yeah. G.5.
Like it's like prequel, but I loved how they handled so much of that. Man, I was also skeptical. And let's just say what we're saying is that trailer is legitimately shit. Like to this day, that trailer sucks. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. They did it with Dragon Age, so like I'm aware that marketing teams.
It's just so bad.
The team of people and maybe the marketing team's not kind of punted it. For the rest of the team.
The resulting movie, though, is fantastic, and John is right to mention it because it's so good. So good.
Yeah.
Love it.
Favorite TV show of the year? Not probably surprising after what I just said was my honorable mention, The Penguin.
Yeah.
This is what got me to watch The Batman because people wouldn't stop talking about how good The Penguin TV show was. And I thought, well, if I'm going to watch The Penguin, I better watch The Batman. And it turns out The Penguin is also extremely awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know how much else you can say about it. It's like The Sopranos meets comic books meets, I don't know, whatever piece of media where you're like, I really like this guy. By the end, you're like, oh my God.
It's like the one thing that keeps running through my head is how is it possible in the year 2024 that the best dramatic performance is Colin Farrell in a fat suit? Like how does he just bury himself in that massive latex and produce one of the best performances of the year? Like if he's not nominated, we're effing up. It's that good.
That would be a mistake and he put in work too, because you also would think with how much makeup and how much time and effort would go into that it's like, okay, well, he's in it, but we're going to find creative ways for him to not be in the show very much.
Yeah.
Like focus on these other characters that don't have 5 hours of makeup to do every day.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that show a ton.
Yeah.
he's in almost every single scene.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. So I love that. And then the last one I will give a shout out is a tie for my favorite comic books of the year, which goes to Ultimate Spider-Man and the new Transformers series. And so for Ultimate Spider-Man, we are finally getting, once again, a married Peter Parker with kids, an interesting story where he is getting his powers later in life because of all the stuff going on in the new Ultimate Universe, and it is just a fantastic telling of that story with lots of interesting twists. Do you want to read about a world where Uncle Ben is still alive and is best buddies with J. Jonah Jameson as they both work together at the Daily Bugle?
Sure.
Yep. It's awesome.
All
it's
right.
very, very good. So I would highly recommend it and say check that out. Transformers, recommended to me by one Liam O'Brien.
Yep.
I was actually reading it before it, but I just love that he messaged me. He's like, you should read this. And he is absolutely right.
Yep.
So if you don't trust me, trust Liam. Go read the new Transformers series. It's very, very good.
Hit most everybody's top three, like all the big comic sites and everything, all have Transformers as either their top or one of their top comics of the year. Like people freaking love it.
It's so good at being both. It reminds you of the TV show, but it's got the high stakes drama. It's got, it does have weird ties because they are also launching G.I. Joe at the same time. So there is a level of crossover, but the comic does a good enough job to where I didn't read any of the G.I. Joe stuff and I didn't feel like I was missing out.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing depiction of all those characters. They get the characterization right, and really make you feel different things about the Transformers besides just like Autobots and Decepticons. Like they all have various shades where you're like, oh my God, Starscream is awful. Like he's beyond the pale awful.
Yeah.
In that comic book series. So it's really, really good.
Awesome. Want to catch up on that? Speaking of characters, let's talk about more characters.
Yeah, my favorite characters of 2024, starting with number 5, Emmerich Volkaren from Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Now, this is interesting because
Sorry,
I didn't.
loud.
I didn't. He scared you.
It did.
I didn't love Veilguard, and I thought the writing and the characters were actually a bit of a problem with Veilguard. But you know who wasn't impacted by all of that is good old Emmerich, who I think has one of the most satisfying stories. He is one of the best characters. His problems that he brings to the table don't feel like they came from 2024. They feel suited to the environment. He's easily one of the more likable characters. And I absolutely loved Emmerich.
Nice.
So I thought his story was incredibly satisfying. I think Beau and I both kind of experienced that with the path he walks and where he goes.
I assume it's not it's on purpose. He looks like Doctor Strange. Something I meant to ask you about
I think he's supposed to look like Vincent Price.
Oh, even better. He's got that mustache, so I guess it works.
Which, by the way, it ended up leading to a great appreciation for Vincent Price because, for whatever reason, after I had seen videos about like he's inspired by Vincent Price, I started getting YouTube algorithm videos of Vincent Price, who I knew not a lot about, and that dude was funny and he was great. Wow. So made me appreciate Vincent Price.
Nice, big fan.
Priceless.
Priceless.
How I felt about.
I like that. All right.
Number 4, Yutaka Yamai from Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. This is a character that when he was introduced, when he was in the first cutscene, I was like, well, this edgelord sucks. And by the end of the game, he was my favorite character from the new game. Favorite new character. In the grandstanding tradition of Yakuza games where they introduce characters that you don't like at first, and then very quickly turn around and go, oh my gosh, wait, this character is awesome. He kind of haunts you throughout the game. You've got lots of boss fights against him. But by the end of it, he is just the man.
All right. Got a crowbar. What else can you ask for?
Got a crowbar.
Yep.
And he's cold all the time.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, no less. Number 3, Lieutenant Titus from Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Yeah. And I knew he had to be on this list for this reason. When the secret level short for Warhammer 40k came out, and somebody mentioned Lieutenant Titus, and I went, oh, Titus is in this? Yeah. And then I saw him and went, oh, I know when this takes place.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I'm fanboying in a way that's obnoxious, and so I should probably put him on my best characters of the year. Titus is awesome. The only thing that was kind of preventing me from putting him on here is he is a little. I mean, he's the character you play, so he tends to be a little bit one note. But it turns out that's the note you want him to be because that's the note a Space Marine should be. He's everything a Space Marine should be. I love Titus. So he's number 3.
In the future, there's only war, so
that's right.
Unless they want to be traitors, they should keep their minds on their task.
But I'll tell you what, when you see him in that thing, the secret level thing, that one note really serves him. Like it's just, I want a Titus series, and I don't care that he's a little bit one note.
Yeah, no, it turns out in that world, one note is probably what you should be.
Yeah. I'm
number
here for
2.
It. Yep.
Moving along at a brisk pace here. Otis from Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. Dawn Trail, unfortunately, did not introduce a lot of great new characters. But you know who it did introduce? A paladin robot named Otis, who is, kind of paladin/knight robot named Otis, who absolutely stole the show as soon as he showed up. I am a sucker for any character that will go, do I detect villainy? That will be a character I like. That's a secret. And he's not in the game for very long. You run into him in 2 different states. But he left an impression, and I would like more Otis somehow in my Final Fantasy XIV. He's
Is it possible they didn't kill him off or anything, right?
That's a spoiler.
Okay. I don't want to get
he is a robot, so there's always tomorrow. Who knows?
Sure.
But we're probably not going to get more Otis.
No spoilers.
If I had to guess, we're probably not getting more Otis.
All right. But while he was there, his light shone bright, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
All right. Awesome.
And number one, my favorite character of the year, Heisme from Metaphor ReFantazio. This is the character that if you showed me the list of characters that you are going to have in your party in Metaphor, I would tell you that Heisme is the character that's not going to be in my party. I do not need the furry little mascot character to be a part of my team. It's not going to be the one I'm interested in. And Heisme not only is amazing, but his story literally made me cry. It's not the character I expected to make me cry this year, but it did. Heisme is brilliant. His voice and the acting behind him is incredible. His story is touching and interesting, and in a cast of wonderful characters, he absolutely stands out as the best. I love Heisme.
It's the game deserves so much credit for its localization and acting and voice work. It's really it is so important for that game, I think, for it to work well for English speakers. I think I haven't checked it. I'm sure the Japanese dialogue and subtitles are fine, but so often is the case that you get one of these games and the translation's just not right, or the voice acting's a little weirdly directed, or it just doesn't quite fit, and you just sort of live with it and move on and play a good game. But this game did not skimp on that, and it's so well handled, all of that stuff, all the characters, that it just made a gigantic difference for my time in that game so far. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. I'm jumping the gun here because we're going to talk about
My
that game
doctor
again.
told me to take it easier and aggravate my eyes.
I know, right?
Yeah, you don't want an irritated Heisme.
You can't grow a Heisme, and you cannot have a transplanted Heisme. You got to take care of the one you got. All right.
Oh no.
So, Beau, gently rub your Heisme. Awesome.
Next category.
Yes, sir.
The stuff I didn't play in 2024, but I should have, which I'm also calling the Only on PS5 award.
All right.
First of all, I'm going to give a couple honorable mentions because these are games I played in 2024, but I did not play enough of them for them to really qualify for anything this year for me. And as a result, I'm just going to mention, hey, I probably should have played these more. Stellar Blade, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which was a huge Jocelyn recommendation, and she's going to be mad that this is where it is on my list because what I played I really like, but I just haven't played it enough. Black Myth Wukong, which I did really like, and probably of these is the one I spent the most time with, but I still would like to play more. And Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, talked a little bit about that on the show. I didn't really find the great time in it that other people seem to be having, but I feel like if I put a little more time into it, I would get there.
Quick shout out to, by the way, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Have a pad of paper with you when you play that game. I ended up getting it and playing it.
Yeah, I didn't have a pad of paper. I was taking screenshots, and then I was just like, I'll remember it.
Yeah, didn't work.
It got a lot harder.
I had to restart because, well, not restart, but I had to backtrack like crazy because I was thinking the same way. I was like, I'll just know. It's fine. It's a video game.
I'm terrible at remembering numbers, but I'll certainly remember these numbers.
No. I will say, though, that she's right. Having to do that is very old school. It's like the way we used to play games way back and forever ago. A little bit of added notes or whatever. It definitely makes it feel more immersive because you have to. So and it's, I don't know, it's kind of nice. It's a weird meat space and digital combination that's very good so far. Anyway.
So here are the games that I actually need to play that I didn't. And number 1 is a little bit, or number 5 rather, is a little bit of a cheat. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. It is true I did launch this game, but I basically haven't played this game. Enough so that where I'm putting it here. I know I'm going to love this game. I love the way it looks. I love RPGs like this. I love Dragon Quest. I just didn't get to it. Number 4, Unicorn Overlord, another game that I absolutely know I will love based on the recommendations of friends. That is only on PlayStation 5. Or actually, it's only on console, but it's the same problem across the board. Yeah. They don't want to put it on PC, which is where I want to play. Yeah. So at some point, I'm going to have to move over and tell my wife, please stop playing Fortnite and play it somewhere else. Number 3, Silent Hill 2 Remake was wonderfully gifted to me. When I was talking about things I'd like to play before the end of the year. Unfortunately, didn't get around to playing it before the end of the year. but it's another one I'm absolutely certain I will like. Number 2, Astrobot, same problem, only on PS5, and that's the only place I want to play it. So I really should, but I didn't. And number 1, the game I'm going to play this year, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I will do that.
You will play that.
I actually have it on PS5. There's no reason why I can't go play it. But I'm like, I guess I'm gonna buy it again.
You're waiting for the PC version.
I guess I'm gonna spend $120 on this game.
When is that? This year? When is it? June or when are we getting?
I think it's February. I think it's early.
Holy shit, February
It's
stacked.
it's fairly. I don't know if it's February, but it's early in the year.
Rebirth PC release. I'm just curious because if that's okay, here we go. So Rebirth. January 23rd.
Yeah.
So John, this month you will be playing that game.
Probably.
In theory. Yeah.
Probably.
In theory. I'll have to see.
So those are them. That's what I missed, and hopefully will be on the list of games from last year that I should have that I played this year that I really liked. All right, my favorite indie games of 2024. Start with number 5, Duck Detective: The Secret Salami.
Yeah.
Why is this on here? Well, because sometimes you just want a simple game. This is not a complicated game. This is a narrative mystery to solve. It is not the most compelling mystery. The gameplay is not the most compelling gameplay. But sometimes you just want to sit down and have a bit of fun with a video game, and that's exactly what this game was. It had a lot of bad puns. It had a fun little mystery to solve, and I sat down and I played it in 1 or 2 sittings and just had a fantastic time with it. It was exactly what I wanted it to be.
It reminds me of like Professor Layton meets Phoenix Wright kind of like combo of adventure-y game, but also this is about the case and you solving the case.
Yeah,
that's probably fair, right? Kind of a similar vibe. Yeah,
and again, it's like if this game went in any direction further than it did, I don't know if I would have liked it. I kind of like that it didn't overreach. It was just like, it's just a duck detective, secret salami. Go figure it out. It's fine. That's what I wanted. Number 4. I told you we'd talk more about it. Mouthwashing.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that this wound up here because there's no week worse for us to play a new video game than this week because we don't talk about what we played. And then it's always weird when we talk about it 2 weeks later. But I tried mouthwashing over this past week. Not in real life, the video game. I mouthwash regularly for your information.
Okay.
This game is pretty darn cool. It's... The only issues I had with this game is 1, I don't easily get scared or freaked out, so the horror elements didn't really work for me. I actually think this game is at its worst when it's being a video game. Like, if I think about the only moments I didn't enjoy in the game, it was the times it was being a video game. But in terms of, like, telling an interesting narrative and an interesting story in a good way, with characters that were compelling, a narrative that they don't really beat you over the head with, that you kind of have to figure out and piece together. Like, this game worked so effectively at that. And it was one of those things where I was kind of worried because I went into it and I immediately suspected something, like, from the get-go that proved to be true. And I thought knowing that, or even just thinking that, would ruin the game for me, and it did not, because it still told an interesting enough story that it was compelling, and it was interesting to watch this, what was going to be a terrible series of events basically just unfold over the course of months, I think is what the game takes place time-wise. So
relatively short too. I found out the hard way that the game doesn't feature Steam Cloud, even though it has full verified Steam Deck support. I thought Cloud had to be included in that. I guess it doesn't. But the developer said they had an answer for this. They're like, well, the game's short, so we didn't think people would be, jumping back and forth on platforms that much between them. So that's the only bummer I have to say about it is I started on deck and thought I could finish on desktop, and I was going to stream the solution or the ending, and I didn't do it because it couldn't, or I'd have to start over. But the decision to go the art style decision works so well for what this story is. This low, I don't even call it low res, because there's parts of this game that I would argue are beautiful.
They do call it, even in the credits, they call it PlayStation 1 era model.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the world, obviously the environments, like when you're walking through the places, it's starting to fart apart and you're the captain and your things are going to shit. There's things happening that my PlayStation would have never dreamed of doing, but
No,
Yeah.
it's definitely an homage to PlayStation era graphics, not the not the literal execution of them. But
this game knows how to create an atmosphere that grabbed me very, very quickly and early and did not let go. And I'm almost done. I know it's not very long. I probably have an hour.
You haven't
left.
beaten it
I haven't
yet.
beaten it yet, so I have just a smidgen left. I was
Yeah,
supposed to
the
do it
game is
yesterday.
like 2 to 3 hours. I beat it in one sitting. It's not a long experience, but it's a very good experience,
Yeah.
which is something I've heard many times in my life. So I know all about it.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy that it kind of jumped up here on the list because I wanted to talk more about it. And I was worried. I was like, man, why am I playing a new game on Game of the Year week?
Yeah. I had the same
but-
thought, because I was like, this is a little late to be slamming this through the door, but it's so good it has to be talked about.
Yeah.
It's great.
Number 3 for me was Tactical Breach Wizards. This game, it was just a little gem in terms of both gameplay and writing. Like, the writing is very, like, just, it's very modern, but it works. Like, in a lot of ways, the things about Tactical Breach Wizards writing are the exact same complaints I have about Veilguard. But when you apply it to a story where it's SWAT agents that like use staves and magic to do cool SWAT stuff, it's like, well, that makes sense. Of course they talk like this.
Yeah.
And from a gameplay perspective too, it was just a lot of fun. And it didn't set up anything tactically where I was like, oh, this is just the most challenging tactical experience. Instead, what it made was a tactical experience that I wanted to figure out optimal ways to do. So it wasn't like I sat down and went, how am I going to figure this out? This is the biggest brain teaser of all time. Instead, it was, okay, I know how to do this. How can I do this super effectively?
Right.
And that became a very fun game to experiment with. The dumb puns appealed to my dad brain as they continued to just make silly references to modern and fantasy tropes all in one. And it was just a joy of a game. Really, really liked it.
That's awesome. I need to play that. Yeah. Sorry,
Number
keep going.
2.
Yeah.
Animal Well.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think about Animal Well. And then I started playing it. And I still was like, I don't know what to think about this game. And then slowly I learned. And slowly I did more things, and I learned more tricks, and I learned how to do something that I didn't know how to do before, and I got to new places. And it called to that old primal instinct that I think a lot of us older gamers have of discovery. You know, like you would take a game home from Blockbuster or wherever you were renting games from, and you'd sit down and you go, the hell is this mess? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I press the button, nothing happens for some reason.
Yeah.
And just discovering what a game is and what a game has to offer. And that was kind of the joy of Animal Well. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that game's great. I still marvel at the fact that it's kind of a complete Metroidvania experience, and it's 34 megabytes. This is just insane today. Like how do you even freaking do that? But it's
somehow
awesome.
incredibly complicated and the least complicated thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
It falls into both categories very well.
Yeah, awesome game.
And the number 1, I had to give it to it. Look, I'm notorious on this show for saying absolutely not to mobile games. I don't like them. I don't play them. But there is one video game on my mobile phone. That's like I said that like a true millennial.
Yeah.
on my mobile phone.
Uh-huh.
That is Balatro, a game that I have now purchased twice because I couldn't stop playing it as a desktop version. And then I couldn't stop playing it as a mobile version because I thought maybe I will do better if I play this game pooping. And So I got them both. And I got to acknowledge it. If you're going to get a game twice and you're going to put it on your phone despite being very opposed to it, you got to acknowledge what that game's done, and that's what Balatro did to me. So kudos to it.
Yep. Amazing game. It's on my list for that same reason. So good. Beau,
My final
Beau hated that game.
category.
Just a nice reminder.
Beau did hate that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's boring as hell.
Scott farming for emails real quick at the beginning of the year. Beau hated that game.
Look, it's just there's like 100,000 games for some reason. People like this one.
Just
Great.
a reminder, he called it the D&D movie of video games.
Yeah, which says a lot. Although a lot, I guess. I mean, the game, I've never.
I buy a game because I want to be entertained. I want to have fun. I want to be engaged, not whatever's going on with Balatro.
See, that's so funny to me because I don't know if we've ever. We're always going to have differences of opinion, right? We're always going to be like, oh yeah, that game's great, and the other one's not, or whatever, or it just doesn't fit whatever we think we like or don't like. But in this case, it's so universally beloved by everybody I know except Beau, which is weird to me, given what I know about you. About you like deep strategy, you like being given a set of things and then figuring out what to do with it.
It's part of the let's roguelite everything. Like it's just not interesting. Please Hades 2, something else. Like there's like if you think about like there are 100 games I could play right now, new experiences, things I own I haven't played. Why I'm like okay, I get cards and match them up. Awesome, so cool.
Yeah.
Like it's just so like it just hits like plain toast. Dry plain toast with no butter on it or anything. It's just I don't hate it. I'm happy for it. I'm happy you got your game. It's not something I actively hate that like a mobile game. Like I'm happy it exists.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Bravo. Congratulations. Love that you all love it.
Yeah.
It just bores the shit out of me. It's like not fun. Yeah, sorry.
Fair enough. We all have that game.
Here's a category that Beau will agree with.
All right.
And I know.
Yeah.
I know because I know. I also decided to award a best demo or early access game of 2024, which bit of a no-brainer went to Path of Exile 2. Spent so much time gushing about this game and playing this game that I had to find some way to recognize it because it doesn't fit in any of the other categories we have for it. So this is it. This game isn't out. It's about 50% out, and it is still one of my favorite games of the year, and this is where I get to say it.
Nice.
Yeah, because it's definitely still in beta at this time.
Sure, but it's also, I mean, this is a phenomenon.
Best beta of 2024.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's praise and credit, and it's awesome. But like, given that I've played a lot longer, so I'm at that point now where I see the seams. I still would praise it and I've played 200 hours. That says a very big compliment to it, I'm sure. But it's.
Are you giving a bunch of feedback and stuff for them? Or like, are you sort of taking?
I've contemplated doing a video, just because most of the people doing videos are people that have ARPG syndrome. Like they play ARPG. They're content creators that play ARPGs year round,
right,
and have such nuanced takes and really skilled at builds and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't really do endgame in Path of Exile 1. I played the campaign and bailed, and so never really got into the systems. But I'm pretty deep into the systems, learning it for the first time. And I think PoE 2 is supposed to be more accessible. There's definitely things they've done to make it more accessible. But there's some stuff that I'm like, this is not the episode for it. I have another soapbox to get on at some point about keystones and waystones and random shit where you don't get to have access to content. Bad friction, not the good friction John was talking about.
Yeah, kitchen friction.
M+ does this too.
Yeah.
So maybe I already did that one. Didn't I do that a week or two ago?
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Well, it has that, which I find to be a problem. The drop rates are bad, so they need to boost the drop rates on stuff. The other thing that I hate is playing games where you have a health pool, but the idea of difficulty is one-shotting you. So what's the point of having a health pool? I mean, WoW's got this problem right now,
Yeah.
Queen Ansrat can't just do a bit of poison. She's got to do 500% more damage to you, because that's hard. Wee! One-shotville. Same with Mythic Plus. You get to a certain point, and it's like, I didn't interrupt the thing I should interrupt. I died.
Yeah.
Like, wow, super skilled role-playing gameplay. What was my health? What is my 5 million health for? And Path of Exile suffers from that right now as well, where it's just like, hey, it's bugs. I should be fine. Nope, I'm dead.
Yep.
No, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I have a health pool?
Yeah. It does seem, I
So-
wouldn't say it's a cheap way out, but it does seem like that's what everyone does for hard
Well, it's a
modes.
different genre. They're like it's Mario. And
Yeah.
Mario, whatever. In that game, you don't have a health bar, so if you get hit by a Goomba, you might like shrink or die. You know, it's like you got 2 hits. There's no health bar. So either please be a role-playing game with health pools and mechanics, or just be these other games where you die in 1 hit. Thank you.
Remind me, I just played a bunch of Mario, so I should know this. If you are fully, okay, let's say you've got the fireball, that you've got that up with the flower, right? Do you have 3 hit points now, or is it still 2? Does it shrink you down if you get hit while you have the fireball? Does it just make you not be fireball anymore? Now you're just tall Mario. And if you get hit again, now
I
you're...
think it does both. I think you
Are
shrink
you talking
every
about
fireball.
only in original Mario or just overall in general?
Let's
'Cause I
say-
don't know if it's universal.
Yeah, that's a good point. I played 3 here recently, and 3 I think is just amazing. Do I shrink if I've got a special suit? Like I'm already 1 up on just having a mushroom?
I think you shrink and lose it. I think it's a double bonus.
I think in one you still have 2 hit points basically.
Okay.
But I think in other games that might not be the way it works.
Okay.
Oh, you might get more of a buffer. It's possible.
I don't
Like,
remember. Although
Yoshi was a
it's
buffer.
guess.
Like you get knocked off Yoshi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yoshi's
yeah,
a buffer.
Yoshi's a buffer for sure. He's also
You get
kind
a
of a
3rd
dick.
hit point if you got a mount. But
Yeah.
the point being that, like, you know, if you're a role-playing game is this like complex systems of numbers and resistances and armor and shit and damage. And then it's like if my gameplay is reduced to, oh no, I was hit and now I'm dead. You've screwed things up.
Yeah.
You've screwed. It's not. You're not the genre you thought you were. You know, it shouldn't happen. So,
All
that's,
right.
yeah.
We'll see if they can pick it or fix it. Let's do this now. Ooh, a little guitar riff for our background. This is the section called, it's our group category, another group category, Best Non-2024 Games of 2024. All right, games we played this year that are our favorites that we played but didn't come out this year. My list is weird. I only have 3.
I don't know how you only have 3, and I don't know how this is the 3 you have.
I could go, you know
like,
what?
I don't want. I'm not saying you should put more on your list.
I know.
And I'm not trying to make fun of your list.
I know.
But I feel like I only heard you talk about one of the games on this list, and yet somehow you played a trillion games this year.
All right, so here's what I just added 2. The problem is they're all kind of retro games.
Just added 2.
So I do have 5
You thought
games.
of 2, so you added them. Okay.
Yeah, I thought of them because I did play them a lot, and we just mentioned one of them, but I don't know. It just seemed weird. So I'll just say it. I'll just be weird for the whole list.
Yeah.
Number 5,
Cool.
Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap on the Game Boy Advance. I played a lot of that this year. I love that game.
Want to point out that was not originally on the list.
It
So
was-
for anybody that's gonna say John had weird criticisms of this. That got
That just got added.
Okay.
That just got added. Number 4, Mario Brothers 3. That also just got added. Although I should say that's the GBA version, which is like all scuzzied up to look like 16-bit stuff instead of like the NES. Fantastic version of the game. Best version of the game. Played a ton of that. All right, now to the 3 that I did have on this list. Unreal Tournament 99 and 2004. I played a ton of, especially early in the year. We had a bunch of community games. We had a server on the Play Retro server. Total blast. Brought me back to those days in a hardcore way. I love Unreal, all things Unreal, Tournament in particular. And 99 and 04 hold the hell up. I just realized these are all retro except one. Number 2, NFL Blitz 2000 from the PS1. I just kept pulling that up every once in a while on this Ambernick right here. I just pull that up and run plays. Again,
Oh, forgot about the Ambernick.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
not a
It was
proper.
a big year for Ambernick.
It was for me. I think I got 3 of them this year.
Yeah.
I got the
Well,
SP
that's a
foldable. I got this one, and I got this little guy to carry around with me. It was kind of a big retro year for me, but I love the NFL Blitz games. Actually, all the games that they made at Midway / Acclaim at that time, like NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, NHL Hits. I forgot the basketball one. Anyway, or no, the basketball one is NBA Jam. What am I thinking of? Was there another one? It was a soccer one. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, I love the extreme sports games. They're over the top and ridiculous. Like I keep saying, I like sports games, but I prefer the ones that get a little wacky. And turns out Blitz 2000 still rocks. So I've been playing that. And then finally, two games that are relatively recent, Ace Combat 7 and Wingman. They're sharing a place here because Ace Combat 7 is the 7th in a long-running series by Namco where you do missions and hyper-realistic airplanes, but it's still kind of arcadey, and they're a total blast. I love them. Ridiculous story, the dumbest anime stories ever told. Wonderful. I just love them. Wingman was a small team's effort to make one of those. So it's like an indie game. It's a couple years old now, I think, 2 years.
According to Steam.
Yeah, is it 4?
Project
Jeez.
Wingman. Yeah.
Picked it up, played it, loved it. It is right in line with those Ace Combat games. If anything, it's a little closer to the older ones, so things are a little less.
Oh, it has a VR mode.
Yeah, they do. You can play it in VR. It goes on sale quite a bit. That's a very cool game. It's a very cool one of those. So I put those two at the top because I probably played those more than any other older game this year. But lots of fits and starts and other stuff. So yeah, there you go. Now we'll talk about something that happened in at least the last decade or even less. John, what's on your list?
So number 4, I picked 4 games to talk about, although if there was a 5th, it'd be Cyberpunk 2077, just to let you know.
Sure.
Number 4, also kind of falling in that same category, Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think this is a surprise or a shock to anybody. That game continues to be awesome. I kept going back to it. It was when we talked about our Steam most played, it was still on my list, even though it was a year later. I'm still booting that up regularly. I played it this week.
Nice.
As well. So number 3, Vampire Survivors. Talked about that a lot. It had 2 big runs for me this year with both their Contra and Castlevania DLC that came out. Couldn't stop playing that. Another one I've talked about a little bit is my number 2, which was the Mega Man X Legacy Collection. I played through Mega Man X 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that game, and sometimes I beat those games multiple times. So I played a ton of Mega Man X this year. And kind of off the back of another one I talked about, my number 1 old game that I played this year was Path of Exile. I've decided this was the year to finally figure out why the hell everybody talks about Path of Exile, and I found out. It turns out I really like it.
And you realized it's not just a spite game. That was a big realization.
It's not just a spite game.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have
It
started
as a spite
you know
game.
What?
Yeah, but
hey, look, anything can be a spite anything. It doesn't mean they don't put love and passion into it.
I logged
this
into
very
PoE.
clearly has it.
yeah.
I log into PoE 2, and the conversation, like 50% of the time in a general chat, is D4 sucks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Nice list there. Beau, how about you?
Hi.
Hi.
All right.
Hi, Beau.
So my top games of not 2024, but played in 2024. So Griftlands, single player card game by Clay,
however we say it. Yeah.
the Rotwood guys. Yep, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic game. I love the social combat in addition to the shooting combat, and it's got a story told in a roguelike fashion. It's pretty cool.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Just so there's no confusion, though, with all these roguelike card things that you just a minute ago with BLOWOUT were kind of being a little poopy on. You're not being poopy on this one. You like this one.
Well, yeah, this one's awesome. You have 3 stories. You play as a character, and when you play as a character, it's not just a character. They have a story, and then there's NPCs, and like you choose to like betray people or do missions, and it's not always the same characters you do missions for, and it's the same characters with each of the NPCs, but in different contexts of the story. And that way you have randomized runs, and you're not always doing the same thing every run. And sometimes certain characters only unlock as you increase your difficulty. And then you have to beat people in social combat with like mind games and play cards, or just regular ass combat. You kind of choose like to do some battles. If you're like the last battles are usually like, oh, do you want to talk your way out of it, or do you want to shoot your way out of it? And it's a fun card game, and you build up your deck. It's a true roguelike. It is not BLOWOUT. There's a lot of effort put into this game in terms of like graphics and music and vibe and card. Here's the thing. Playing cards, I'm so over playing cards, right? It's just like the same old shit. Like, oh, I got an ace or a queen or a king. Like, ooh,
See, that's what I think the thing is. It's not about whether BLOWOUT was any good. It's that it uses face cards as a key mechanic.
Done that.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
all.
okay. Like I've got a $3,000 computer because I want to play the deck of $2 playing cards. Awesome. All right, so
You can make a game like that in a weekend. It's crazy.
it's
how
the
that works
same
out.
thing
Yeah,
as like black and white
weekend
games. Yeah,
games.
I bought this expensive computer to play a black and white game. Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right, so anyways, Grifflands, awesome. Baldur's Gate 3 was my number 3. I'm still playing it. I have that weekly game. It is amazing. Love Baldur's Gate 3. Really a game for the ages. What a showing. Still awesome.
Yeah.
Game number 2 might be a little bit more out of nowhere, but I did have a pretty strong Overwatch 2 arc this year where I played it kind of nonstop for a few months. And I gotta say, Overwatch 2 in a good place. I know Rivals came out, and I gotta say, prefer Overwatch 2. I know people like comic book heroes, and it's all the hype right now because it's new. I think in the long run, Overwatch 2 is still the stronger game and the one I'd rather play.
Here's what I'm gonna say about that, Beau.
Mm-hmm.
I think that given what we've just heard you say about Balatro, this opinion remains consistent.
I also think I agree with Beau on the hero shooter thing. We all fell off that pretty quick. I mean, nobody's playing it right now, right?
No, it's not
No.
that. It's not janky, but it's kind of janky. Like Overwatch 2
But I played
feels,
2 more games of Marvel Rivals than I did Overwatch 2.
Well, that's true.
Well, but you're I won the game and now I'm the champion kind of player. So,
Undefeated.
Yep.
Exactly. But like, I went pretty hard playing Hanzo. I got pretty good with him and that was fun. But I've tried all the characters. I just had a real arc where I was like, man, I just want to play game after game after game after game. Overwatch 2. I know there's a lot of baggage and a lot of shit with Blizzard and Overwatch and shit, but Overwatch is a really good game, and I don't think Marvel Rivals made a better game. I'm sorry, but no.
The depth seems like it would be there with the character roster, but I think the gameplay.
It's a
depth
good fun
still,
game. Nobody's
yeah.
gonna be talking about Rivals in a year. Pretty sure.
Yeah,
Could be wrong. Could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong, but I just feel like the esports era is kind of behind us right now, and Blizzard's just a behemoth in the gaming space, and I just don't think NetEase is gonna long term be up to scratch. So,
Sure.
With balance and shit like that.
Sure.
All right, and number 1 non-2024 game of the year was Cyberpunk 2077.
Whoa, really?
Phantom Liberty.
Nice.
And oh Jesus is right, because I didn't play it in 2023, right? I was kind of waiting, and I finally cracked it open in 2024. And if there was, out of even any category in this, if there's just one game, you're just like, Beau, there's one game you can play in 2024. But you know which ones are good. Like, you're kind of doing this weird timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly thing where I go back but can only play one. It's like the storytelling in that expansion is phenomenal. Like, there's no laggy parts where you're like, oh, this is a sucky section or anything. It is good from start to finish. That city area is like a trash town in a good way, but also I hate it, like in a way that's effective, but also, but it has awesome moments where you're in the ritzy areas, and it's just really, and you get into it. You're not really sure who to trust, and it ends. You're not really sure if you made the right choices or anything. Like, it's so good.
I love that you and I completely disagree on that ending, despite being presented the exact same information.
Yeah,
I think
but
that's
I don't disagree.
a testament to the quality writing.
Right.
Yeah, I don't disagree in the sense that I'm like, oh, there's a clear reason. I just had a rationale for picking what I picked.
Yeah, exactly.
And you had a rationale for picking what you picked, but that's.
And they both make sense, and they're both logical. Like,
actually, that's not
really
true.
good.
There was one laggy part. I didn't like when the game turned into a horror story, and you're just like, it turned into Alien Isolation for a little bit. I'm like,
John liked that.
I chose
the
my
alternate
ending.
ending.
My ending, I get to be a wizard, and this ending, you're like, oh no, robots.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part.
That's the
It
one.
was cool. It was well done, and it's cool. I just don't enjoy that kind of gameplay.
That's the part John wants me to play and get scared in. And I still haven't done it. I'm still there at that choice. I went back and cleaned up other quests, and I haven't gone back there yet.
I mean, if you don't want to be scared running away from a robot and want a giant shootout in an airport where you just blow people up, then pick her.
Okay.
But that was not why I picked her. My rationale was, she's her own person. Like, I was everyone's trying to decide for her what to do, what to be, because she's a nuclear bomb, and I just decided, well, you're a person. I'm not your boss. I just got wrapped up in this shit.
You were hoping for a romance scene with her, weren't you? After all this,
No.
Okay.
No, not really.
Because then you could really let the sparks fly there, if you know what I'm saying.
No, it was more just like everyone has like an ulterior motive, right? In those games, but it's not like ulterior motive like they're trying to screw you. It's just that it's too dangerous to be just bold-faced honest, you know?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it seemed like everyone's trying to control her, like she's an object. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to trust you and let you decide.
I think you made
Take
a
your
good
power
choice.
back.
I think you made a good choice.
But there's no, like I said, the other ending's awesome too. So there's no real right ending. So
It's cool
Number
that
one,
it's
loved
cool
it.
that
More
DLC/ expansion content gave you such a cool choice, though, right?
Yeah, no, I mean it was.
Didn't
I
always
think
get
because
that.
it's more focused as well. Like the Cyberpunk game was a little bit. There's lots of side missions and side stories. Like everything, there's side missions in this one, but I just felt everything was like a finely tuned like narrative. Like this isn't about me trying to make it in the city. It's like you're in a government spy movie now,
Yeah.
but in this dystopian cyberpunk place. It was just perfect. Just chef's kiss.
All right, keep the mic on because our final segment before we go to the break is
Right.
Beau's Game of the Year awarded categories. Everything besides Game of the Year. We'll talk about those at the end. So if you guys are all wondering what are we picking for Game of the Year, we'll get there. We got it.
These are just other of the year things that
Right.
we all did. You did one, John did one. Now I get to do mine.
Yep.
And I think mine will be pretty simple and straightforward. They're basically games I couldn't fit into other categories that I really wanted to call out and deserve praise and deserve mention on the show and recommendations. So best shoot things ASAP awards. If you want to play games that you just press play in Steam and then immediately get to shooting. I really loved. It was a tie. I loved RoboQuest. It deserves its overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
Tons of guns, tons of roguelike gameplay, and it fulfills its promise. You get in and you're shooting within 5 seconds if you just run to the start, and you're off to the races. And the shooting's good. Overwatch
Agreed.
quality.
Agreed.
And the other one is Mullet Mad Jack. This was an unexpected surprise. Mullet Mad Jack. The whole deal is you have like only a few seconds to live, and every time you kill something, you get a few more seconds. So the whole gameplay loop is you got to press W and shoot as much as you can so you don't die. You got 10 seconds to live. And that sounds stressful, and we talk about hating timers, but the shooting gameplay is not complicated. It's guaranteed you press W and you'll see like guys to shoot all the time. So it's not hard to actually find the guys to shoot. And it's stylish as hell, and I love it. Mullet Mad Jack is awesome.
Yeah, that's
So-
awesome.
Yeah, best shoot things ASAP. Best I'll wait for 1.0 awards, and I didn't put Valheim on here because Valheim is, of course, on my most anticipated, but it would win one. But these are games I barely touched, but cannot wait for 1.0. Top mention is Enshrouded. That's a game that came out this year. It sold really, really well, but it is an early access. It's a Valheim V Rising, survival game where you build stuff, but the combat is very From Software style, or it's methodical, has parrying, blocking. It's honestly probably its strongest suit. And it's also a little Zelda-y where you got gliding and climbing. It was really fun. But I'm like, survival games invite you to spend hundreds of hours and you can get lost in it, but it's also not done. And it's kind of like I've learned that from Valheim, where I'm like, I loved my time in Valheim, but I feel frustrated that I gotta wait for a drip feed of content, and I want to wait for the game to come out.
Right.
Yeah.
And V Rising came out 1.0 this year. I didn't get to it, but it's installed and it's on my to-do list, and I definitely want to get a run through V Rising. That's also an excellent game.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, those are my awards for wait for 1.1.
And Shrouded,
best I had a
Shrouded in particular, though, I was going to say, is just so the potential. You can smell the potential coming off that thing. I just hope
really
they can do it. I hope they can nail it. Anyway,
it's really
go
good.
ahead.
So Enshrouded, and then Hades 2, of course. It's on there. Best I had a hard time waiting for 1.0 was Path of Exile 2.
You were going to
200
do it.
hours of a hard time.
I have
waiting
like
for
200
1.0.
hours into the game. I've been playing it nonstop. I finally hung up my boots. I'm going to wait now for 1.0. But
After
kinda bullshit.
200 hours.
It's kind of bullshit to be like, I'm going to wait for 1.0 after 225.7 hours on record. So,
Man.
I've basically hung up my boots because I think Endgame is underbaked and it's tougher than it needs to be. I'm not going to go into the whole dissertation about it, but I've had some confirmation bias from other members of the community posting their feedback videos and stuff. So it's a really good game. But I would caution anyone looking to spend hundreds of hours in it because it's not a finished game. And so, that being said, once you get hooked into it, it's fun. You will have a hard time putting it down if you like ARPGs. It will hook you. It is good.
Did you get any thoughts, or have you had any thoughts about the security thing that happened? There was some big, not leak, but some kind of hack where everybody who's early access into the thing, their stuff was potentially exposed or whatever. Did you guys hear about that?
No, PoE2 hack.
I have to look it up. What was it called? PoE2 hack would probably get it for you.
It can be hacked in PoE2 and how to avoid it in game.
Yeah, maybe it was. So maybe it's a simple thing. Oh, security breach blindsides players with lost loot as developer remains silent. There was a big freak out because they weren't saying anything at first.
It says they're not. It's yet to be identified. This was Tuesday of this week. This article I'm reading. So I don't know if any news has come out.
Link to real money trading, third party.
According to a growing number of posts on PoE2 forum subreddit, even the game's Steam reviews, players are apparently logging into PoE2 accounts to find that all their loot and gear they now spent dozens or hundreds of hours grinding for have been removed from their accounts.
Yeah, that was the stuff. It wasn't like...
Nobody seems to know how these hacks are happening.
Yeah. And I guess grinding gears was very slow to get to their, to say anything. And then I think they've said stuff since, but I don't know. It's just dangerous territory if they got a problem like that.
Some have theorized the hacks are linked to real money trading or third-party in-game overlays. However, this has been refuted by a number of victims. Currently seems like players. Damn, this is the first time hearing about it.
Yeah,
I need to. I mean, if it's just the account, I'm kind of done with it. So whatever you can do, I don't care really. But
because you're going to start over when the game's done, right?
If the vulnerability goes any farther, then that's a problem, obviously.
It sounds like it's still evolving, so it might be something we talk about next week, too.
Yeah, I'll look into this after the show. Thank you for letting me know.
Sure. Yeah, we normally would probably be news today, but we're doing very different things than news. All right, Beau, sorry, just a little thought there.
No, that's fine. No, I appreciate the heads up on security stuff. Always do that. Thank you. It's awesome. All right, top bought and put on the 120 plus game to do list and didn't play games of 2024. All right. These are at the top. This was decided because these are the ones I should and want and must play, and it's like a tragedy that I'm not playing them. So here we go. Number one is Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah,
I mean, I love pattern-based music-y games. This is made for me. Why have I not played it yet? Idiot. So Hi-Fi Rush on there. I own it too. I own this. So
sure.
I just haven't played it yet.
Sure.
Darkest Dungeon 2. Yeah. I love Darkest Dungeon 1. And I still have not played Darkest Dungeon 2. It's been out for years. And I'm like...
2 is awesome. Well, technically it just hit 1.0 this year. So you're not that far behind.
So, but it's I loved it. I played so much Darkest Dungeon. I'm like, why am I not playing this game?
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. 20. Wait. Where's the release after? Oh, I'm sorry. It was last year. So 2020. No, that's 2 is older than I thought.
Remember, it came out later on Steam.
That's right.
The release date on Steam is May 2023.
Yeah. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
So it's older than I even thought. I thought it finally came out this year. I guess the Steam thing is confusing.
Yeah, this is Darkest Dungeon 2. Yeah, it's been,
It's been 2
I'm almost
years
missing the window where it's I can't play it. The hype is over or something, anyways, whatever.
I like it a lot. I know some people are torn on the differences because it is a very different direction for the series, but I think it's cool. That game's great.
I can't say. I haven't played it, so, who knows?
Give it a shot.
And last one, number 3 is Dave the Diver. I got gifted this, and it looks amazing, and everyone says it's amazing. It's overwhelmingly positive. Why haven't I played it yet?
Yeah, that's a great game. It's very good.
This is the top 3. Top 3 I'm most likely to boot up once I start chipping away at that list.
I think we all have one of those years though, where these 2 last sales, the fall sale and the winter sale, have been kind of insane. Some of the cuts. like more than usual. I feel like.
Yeah, the sales have been steep, but also this year we've had some very generous listeners. John's campaign for, there's two other hosts on the show has really produced fruits this year.
Yeah.
Like real people are getting the message, and when they send you something, we're getting them too. And I haven't been the hugest proponent of it because now I'm like, whoa, hit the brakes. I got so many, I almost feel bad where it's like,
Yeah.
I can't hold. How do I hold all these games I have? I'm not Scott. Wait a second. I asked for Scott's power and didn't realize what
I don't have any
the
power.
cost of it
I'm
was.
definitely with you because
Take
I
it
was
back.
up here
Take it
banging
back.
the drum of, if you guys gift me something, I will absolutely play it.
Yeah.
That was really easy to say when nobody was gifting me anything, and then all of a sudden I had to roll that back to, I'll get to it. I was like, uh-oh, turns out when this works, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. You notice we're not saying there's 3 hosts on the show anymore. So we're like, holy shit.
Not
like,
so much.
There's
like
even
what?
been this year. This is the year where there's been a couple of times you guys will get something awesome, and I'll go, wait, aren't there 3 hosts? Like it's starting to flip the other direction. I'm not
Right,
saying
right.
anybody do anything about it. What I'm saying is, you're all incredibly generous, kind human beings.
Yeah.
Don't go.
I'm in the same boat. I know about one, and I don't want to say it because I don't want to try and guilt anybody into doing it, but I know about one game that someone got that I'm so like, hey, there's other people on the show that want that
Oh,
game.
I want to know which one now. Hold
I'll
on.
tell you off the air.
Okay.
We don't.
Put it in-
They don't need to know.
Stick
They
it in
don't need
Discord.
to
I
know.
won't read it. You should put it in Discord. I'll just look at it. This is fun.
We'll do a live react to a secret piece of information.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey.
Oh well.
Yeah, it's
all right.
fair.
So
Hey,
we're
it's
moving
fair.
on.
That's
We're
the
moving
way
on.
it
We're
goes
moving on
That's
to
the
the
way it
next
goes.
list, all
Totally
right?
fine. Yeah.
Most listened to game soundtrack songs on YouTube. So I'm a big, I mean, we all are. Scott is. I'm not.
I
any
love
different than you two.
I'm with you.
But there's certain songs that I played the shit out of. I went to my YouTube, and I it was hard because I watch a ton of YouTube. But I was going through my history trying to find, ones that I remember I've been listening to like a ton. And so here they are, the top ones. It's gonna make sense when you hear it based on my top games. But number 3, I Really Want to Stay at Your House by Rosa Walton. That's from Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm-hmm.
Also heavily featured in the Edge Runners anime. Number 2 was Raphael's Final Act in Baldur's Gate 3. That song is so good. I listen to that just to get inspired.
That's the singing one, right? Where he sings.
Yeah,
that's where he
he
sings.
sings his own boss music. It is.
Let's see. I got a little piece. I can play a little of it here because it's from the game.
Yeah, I put a link for that
Lives, oh mortal lives, expire. So
Doesn't he kick in here at some
one.
point?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
let it go. Let it go.
This house of hope.
No, you can't do it that way. You won't get the vibe. You got it. Run it. I know you're impatient
No, I'm good. I'm good. What do you mean? You know I'm impatient.
because it's slow. There's a slow build up. Wait for it.
All right.
Here we go.
Hell, hell, hell has its laws. Hell, hell, effect and the cause. Curtain falls, but hold your applause. Squirm, squirm, for now down here come the claws.
And then it repeats. Then she's gonna kick back in. She's a character too in this level.
Yeah.
She's
No,
Hope.
it's really
It's
good.
the House of Hope, and it's Hope, and she when she sings, I feel like chills in my spine, and she's just saying like everyone dies and you're screwed.
Yeah.
And then he comes around being like, yeah, when you're screwed, you're gonna come to me and ask for help, and then I'm gonna get you.
She is. I do like her voice. I was gonna.
And the sort of plot of the song too is like, you're only gonna get this fight if you don't take a deal with the devil and decide to break into the devil's house. That's
Yeah.
you get caught, you get busted breaking into his house, stealing his shit, and just it's not even the music. It is the music, but it's the fact that it's not just a boss fight against him. It's like an army of like when you get into that fight, you're like, oh my god, I'm not going to survive this. Like it's really just intense fight.
Wow.
It's so good. Anyways,
I
that
will
song-
say, I completely understand. I am also a sucker for when bosses sing their music, which is a common trope in Final Fantasy XIV that I always love.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy to have the bosses sing. Although they don't have the actual voice actor usually be the person.
I've
who
never
sings it,
seen
but
something like the Raphael fight. Like it is just full blown a vocal performance from the two characters.
One of my favorite things in the history of games is what's the name of the game? Oh, Crypta the Necrodancer. But John will remember this.
Oh, the shopkeeper.
The shopkeeper, dude.
Oh,
He's so great. As soon as you walk within distance of that guy, he starts doing opera on top of the soundtrack.
yeah.
Gosh dang
I
it.
love that the soundtrack includes the shopkeeper versions of it.
I do too. It's really good. All right, sorry. Beau, continue on down
Last
your road
one,
here.
number one, is Never Fade Away, which is a remix of the Samurai song, Samurai being the in-universe band in Cyberpunk 2077 by PT Adam Schick and Olga Jankowska. And you might recognize the riff from the song at the top of the show. So we did the hip hop, like the Wu-Tang, like East Coast, like hip hop thump beat, and then it transitioned, and that's the riff of the song that I use in there. So I don't know if you both recognized it when you were
Let me
listening.
just do a taste of it here. Hold on. Okay.
Which I even referenced it in the lyric, right? Like the "Will never pod fade away."
'Cause we lost everything.
You might need to skip ahead a little bit on this song.
We had to pay the price. I saw in you what life
That's
was
the
meant.
verse. You want the chorus.
I know you see me.
You had it. You had it
like
first.
go-
One before. Recognize it? It's the
A
same.
thing of beauty, I know.
Kinda? The guitar riff?
The guitarist is the same. I sing that line in the song too. It's the same song.
Oh, from the thing earlier?
I play. Yeah. That's the reference. Is it transitions into this song that I've been listening to a ton this year, and it's my own song. Like, I have my own rap in there, but like at the end, I sing, a thing of beauty I know will never pod fade away, making a joke about pod
okay.
fading.
I didn't recognize the reference, and now that you've said it, I'm never going to not hear it. That's great.
Yeah, that's because that riff just haunts my soul, and I love
that.
that song's really good. So
Very
that's
nice.
what I listened to the most this year.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then we come full circle.
We sure have. We're going to take a break. When we come back from the break, we are going to continue down to our final categories. That is our top expansion of the year, or DLC, our top 5 games of the year, and finally, we're going to suss out what we think Core's game of the year is. All right? That sounds pretty exciting to me. If that sounds exciting to you, then you're going to want to come right back.
For this, I guess I should ask later, but I wondered about
What,
that.
for the core game of the year?
Yeah.
No,
Or
we're
do we
going to
just-
figure it out live on
Just
the
going to
show.
argue it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is gonna be good. This is
Kind
gonna
of
be
did
good.
that last year. I think it worked out good. So it'll
Well, last year was easy because we all said Baldur's Gate 3 and we went home.
Oh,
So
yeah, that
this year we have to figure out something.
that's true. That's
Well,
true.
I mean, it's looking metaphory,
Yeah, but it
We'll
also
see.
could
We'll
be.
see what happens.
Yeah,
We'll
there's
see.
there's others there. Anyway, we'll find out what all that is in a second. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. That all came out weird. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go do.
The debate of the century.
Yeah, but we also want to give them our due. Let's not short shrift.
We won't
these
short shrift
games,
anything.
But
Yeah,
let's,
it'll be fine.
I'm just letting you know that I might be rude at the end. I might pull a Scott and be like, "Great show, guy."
And then, yeah, I do it to you every week. Why not do it to me once?
Yeah.
That's how I see it. All right, we're back, everybody. Thanks for being so patient. We're ready to move on to our final 2 chunks of content today. All right, and this one is the crew's top expansion / DLC of the year. I only did 2. John said we could have up to 5. Beau did 4. I agree with a couple of Beau's that I didn't put in here, but I'm going to go ahead and just tell you real quick that mine are easy. In second place, Sonic X Shadow Generations is an amazing add-on chunk of content. It may as well just be a whole new game. That game's great. John was right about it. I went and
Yeah,
got
I
it.
kind of didn't know where else to put this game. It's like, it's kind of a new game. It's kind of an expansion, and it has its own DLC. What do I call this? So
Yeah.
I think this is a good place.
And
for
it's
it.
so much better than it was.
I didn't even know it was expansion content. I never played it. I was like, oh, it's an expansion?
They're not even good at like telling you that because you can just buy it and it's in there. So it's not like it's hard to explain. It's not your usual DLC. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
It's more like a I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. It's almost like a finished game now.
Separate game with a lump in. That's an older game. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Lumpin'.
Yeah, lump in.
It's a lumpin'. Okay.
Yeah,
lumping
it's like
it
when
in.
you invite somebody and they show up with someone else.
Yeah, and also made the game really good.
Do you say that? Oh, you brought a lumpin'?
Yeah, you brought a lump in.
I'll
with
put
you, I
extra.
see.
I'll put extra chicken wings in, I guess. for the
Yeah.
lumpin'.
Ooh, chicken wings sound good right now.
Yeah,
Talk about food. All right, my number one, War Within. I think that this is a great expansion. I think Blizzard killed it with this one, and I have a million reasons why I like it. Simple. I said it all before during the year, but I think that the War Within is amazing, and I've had a blast with this expansion. So that's my number one. John, your list.
Number 5 will sound familiar. It's Sonic X Shadow Generations. I think Scott might have gotten this inspiration from me to include this on here. Because I didn't know where else to put this. I thought this game deserved some credit because it's really cool. And but I don't know what to classify this game either. Number 4 for me was Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. I don't think that this is their best showing. I don't think it's their worst. I had a great time with it. I think in some areas, Dawn Trail really nailed it. I think their encounter, their dungeon, their raids, all of that is maybe some of the best it's ever been. The content was actually difficult the first time through in some places that normally it's just a bit of a cakewalk. Unfortunately, I think the game did suffer in maybe one of the most important areas for Final Fantasy, which is the story this go around. They've done one big story patch since then that I thought was actually very good. So maybe we are on a good path forward with it. But even when it wasn't at its best, I still think it's one of the best expansions of the year. But with that, I do have to very begrudgingly say number 3 and above Final Fantasy this year is World of Warcraft: The War Within. While I am still playing the other one, I do have to acknowledge that this was the expansion that brought me back to World of Warcraft, even if it wasn't full time. Even if I'm still trying to convince myself that this is it, I'm done. But I think the next expansion's focus on elf shit is going to bring me back into. So I think I'm at least on board for the next one too.
Yeah.
Wait, are you coming back for Goblin Time in February?
No, I have zero interest in Goblin Time. I didn't play for their anniversary. I'm done with World of Warcraft until potentially the next expansion. But what I played, I did enjoy, and it was nice to get back to. And it was.
You know they've got hairy elves, eh? The Hareneer. They're even called Hareneer.
Heron where?
Hareneer. They're hairy elves.
Well, hair wherever it is fine.
It's the bat guy. The guys that turn into bats. There'll be
Oh, do
more
they?
Hareneer, and you like
Well,
elves. You just said. So.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Number 2, Vampire Survivors, specifically the Ode to Castlevania DLC, a DLC that was so good in Vampire Survivors it launched me playing a ton of different Castlevania games and other Castlevania DLC because it just reminded me, oh my gosh, I love so much Castlevania. Please just give me more. And I think Vampire Survivors just did an amazing job. I mean, they put out DLC that was effectively just as big as their original launch of the game in some ways. It's kind of crazy the amount of content that was in that thing.
Yeah.
And then number 1, a game that if you're Jeff Keighley, you think belongs on the main game of the year list. It's so good. Elden Ring, Shadows of the Erdtree, which is more Elden Ring, and Elden Ring will be cemented as one of my favorite games of all time. Shadows of the Erdtree is a worthy successor of it, and it deserves all the praise and accolades in the world. It was fantastic. So
Nice.
those are my 5.
Very nice. Beau, let's hear what you've got for your 4.
Very good. Going to be pretty similar to the rest of you. I enjoyed number 4, WoW War Within. It was a good expansion. It brought me back to retail, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Looking forward to finding out more about what happens in this trilogy. Good start, though.
Yeah.
Number 3 is WoW Classic Season of Discovery. I played a lot of it. It technically counts as like expansion features or new content for an old game, and I thought what they did was really cool, really good. The only reason why I fell off was just I refused to play 2 different versions of World of Warcraft at the same time. So
That's a lot. To those people who do, I salute them. Hats off to them. I don't know how you do it. Don't know how you.
We already do a show about playing games and stuff like that, and one WoW, one active WoW thing is already enough time that like it takes up that sort of time. So it's just more of a professional gamer decision than anything else. But Classic's great. Their Sod's great.
Nice.
And there's even going to be, I think, a new Scarlet Crusade raid coming at some point. That's the word around the camp. They're finally going to put another. Well, they put a lot of new raids in the level up experience, but they're actually going to do an end game one. So
yeah, I'm excited about that.
Never know. Might be back for that. Maybe resurgence.
Yeah.
Next up, Elden Ring: Shadows of the Erdtree. Obviously, Elden Ring is great. I played it for a second time this year. Didn't finish the DLC, but played enough of it to render an opinion to say it is also quite good. And still on my hard drive, and I still am meaning to get back and do the complete thing. So, one of these days, I want to wrap it up on Elden Ring.
Nice.
Very good. Good expansion. And number 1, you probably can already guess, it's Phantom Liberty.
Isn't that from last year, though, or is that from this year? When did that come out?
It's from last year,
older,
but you know what? We can. It's Beau's list. He can.
It's what I played this year, right?
Totally fine.
It's one of those things where it's just like if I get too technical, then there'll be nothing on any of my lists, basically. Because
we're about to find out what happens if Beau tries to play it too close to the chest.
I was a little concerned about top games of the year being just the only games I played this year, and that feeling like not really a top anything. It's like, yes, my top games are the 5 new games I played. I played a lot of old things this past year.
Sure. Nothing wrong with that.
Phantom Liberty was my favorite expansion of the year.
Very nice. Now,
that's the list.
As you can guess, right now, time for us to dive into our big final category before the big announcement of what we think the game of the year is, and that is the Crew's top 5 games of the year. These are the 5 games we each think win. Okay.
Now, for this one, do we want to do each of us that position and go around until we get to number 1?
Especially because we have 5 each. We had 5.
Sort of.
But that's true. Let's see.
I got 4.
Oh, yeah. Beau
That's
has.
fine. But that'll be funny when we get to Beau.
All right.
It'll just be good.
So let's start with 5th. First of all, I should say what last year's 5th was for me, and it was nothing. I did only 4 last year. So.
No, you did 5.
Did I?
I copied this literally from what you had, and for some reason you put your list in 1, 2, 5, 3, 4 order.
1, 2,
or
5,
you may
3
have
order.
done some editing and moved it around.
No, I didn't change anything. I don't know what happened there. I didn't touch it. Okay, so you're right. I did put a 5th. It's weird how I did this, or how it happened. Anyway, 5th for me was Diablo 4 last year. My 5th this year is Warhammer 40K Space Marine. Now, I expected that to be higher. I don't want anyone to think that I think it's bad or it wasn't as good, or that I won't finish it, because I think I will. I am so not into the Tyranid thing. I got to get over that. To me, it's just
you played like
hordes of bugs.
7,500 games this year. I think being number 5 is okay.
It's still pretty good, but I think if this was Orcs again, or if it was almost any other, entity in the 40K universe, I probably would have been slobbering over this more. But as it stands, it's still 5th for me.
There's not much comedy or dimension to them, at least for the little bit I played. I'm planning to get back to it. But
it's just Zerglings. It's 100 million Zerglings coming at you at once. I mean, hell, they're even the inspiration for Zergs. So it's fine. It's just not my favorite thing. John, you're number 5.
Number 5 for me last year was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and this year it is also Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. I liked this game even when it had some problems. I mean, when we all talked about it, Beau and I agreed on a lot of the issues with the game, and I said as much. I did go back to it post patches. They did fix most, if not all, of the complaints I had. But even with its flaws, it was one of my favorite games of the year. This game has suffered a little bit from me rethinking this list. Originally, this was my number 2 game of the year. And the more I looked at the list, the more I went, I gotta move this up. I gotta move this up, and it has dropped a bit. But it launched a newfound love and appreciation for Warhammer 40K. So absolutely a fantastic game.
Nice. Number 5 and number 5 for me and John. Beau, number 5 for you last year was
Diablo 4.
same as me. We were both Diablo 4 pickers back last year.
We like Diablo 4.
Yeah.
And this year I put none for number 5.
Because despite having a list of 120 plus games he keeps adding to,
Yeah.
he didn't
Look,
cross enough of them off
there's-
this year.
There is a game that would qualify for 5, but I'm so like halfway mad at it, even though I really liked it, that I don't.
Is it?
You know what I mean? It's like it
Do you
want to
give it an honorable
top.
mention?
Yeah, give it an
Just
honorable
make it
mention.
clear
Yeah,
it's
I
not
will.
number 5, but give it a mention.
It's like if I have to slot something in as the 5th best thing, I just feel like, like I said, I haven't played that many 2024 games this year, so it feels a little bit like I'm just giving it.
Yeah.
But it's Dragon Age, the Veilguard.
Ah,
I think-
okay. Honorable. You know what? Honorable mention's a good place for that.
Yeah,
It's fine.
because it's like I'm mad at it for reasons we've gone into quite extensively on the show, and I don't want to rehash because
Yeah.
I'm tired of the conversation. But
Right.
overall, it was like I really enjoyed it. I played it from start to finish nonstop, couldn't put it down, and that says something about the quality of the game. So I liked it.
All right. Back up to number 4 for me. Last year, I chose Sea of Stars. I stand by it. That's an amazing little game.
Love that game.
Yeah, it's very cool. Number 4 this year for me, Dungeon Clawler.
Damn.
I can't not laugh at the name.
I know.
It just sounds like you messed up
I know.
every time.
I know. It doesn't sound like I'm saying it right, but that is how you say it. Dungeon Clawler. And the claw part is a claw machine that acts as the mechanic for picking up swords, weapons, shields, specials, all this sort of stuff to kill your opponents. It is so much freaking addicting fun. There's a difference between that and just regular fun. This has the most one more time I played of anything this year, and I love it. So that game rocks. Play Dungeon Clawler, everybody. And you too can sound to your friends like you're not saying it right.
Yeah.
John, number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me last year was Resident Evil 4 Remake. Man, last year was really good, you guys.
It was a good year.
And this year is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. This originally almost didn't make my list, but unfortunately, Infinite Wealth suffered a little bit from me going back to back on Yakuza Like a Dragon, then doing The Man Who Erased His Name, and then rolling that right into Infinite Wealth. I don't think it hit quite the same highs as those other 2 games, but that by no means made it a bad game. And I stuck with it and loved it. And it took me a little bit of reflection time to be like, I really enjoyed it. And just because I didn't like it as much as games that came out years prior, it has nothing to do with the quality of this game in this vacuum. Infinite Wealth was fantastic. I enjoyed unlocking, as many jobs as I could, seeing all of them, creating what I thought was the best team. And while I don't think the story necessarily hit the same heights as those others, it was really, really good. And easily one of the best games this year.
Nice. Beau, give us
All
your
right.
4th.
For me, last year, 4th was War Tales, and I still stand by that. That's a great game.
Yeah. Got to get back to wherever they're at now, right? We got to play that game, see what's up.
I still am midway through a game. I actually finally uninstalled it. I'm stopped pretending I'm going to be playing it. There's just too much other games to play, but it's really good.
All right.
This year, same as John, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Fantastic, amazing game. All the reasons he said, doesn't hit as high as the 2 that came before it, Like a Dragon and Man Who Erased His Name, but I still I love what they're doing right now, and it was good.
Yeah, you got more coming, so watch for that.
Especially mini games like Crazy Delivery and Sicko Snap, where you have to take photos of sickos on the bus. Mini games
Sicko
are
Snap.
solid.
They are. You have to give props to that series, as much as I haven't.
Humor's
been
on
playing
point.
it. Yeah. Number 3 for me last year was Starfield. I still stand by that. I had a great time at Starfield.
That's a bold stance to take,
Yeah,
my man.
I stand by it. I enjoyed Starfield a lot last year. I played the shit out of it. Am I playing it now like I thought I might because it would just have long legs? No, I'm not. But will I again in the future? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not ready to just say it's...
That made me laugh. I was sneezing and muted, but that made me laugh so hard while I was sneezing.
That was just such a genuinely honest statement. I
Probably
love
not.
Really
Probably
not.
not. They may
But
be
I
able
won't
to
play
do
it.
some. I thought I'd never play Fallout 4 again, and I did because they spruced things up and changed some things around and made it fun again. I didn't even mention that this year, but I played a lot of Fallout 4. Anyway, that's what I picked last year. This year for number 3, I went with a game that got in under the last-minute wire. This is Indiana Jones barely getting his hat back before...
But it's not Indiana Jones.
It's not that game because I haven't played that
Before
yet.
anybody's like, yay, Scott played it. No, it's not that.
Not yet. I want to, though. My daughter's almost done with that game, and she raves about it. I can't. I really just need to play it. But for me, it's mouthwashing. It's a weird-ass thing that came out of nowhere for me. I know people have been talking about it prior to that, and I finally caved and just got it. And I think about it all the time, and I'm still probably 45 minutes worth of playing it. Maybe not quite that. It's probably half an hour left. And I thought I would have that done last night. But even though I haven't finished it, they'd have to really ruin the ending for me to be mad. I think mouthwashing is rad, and everybody should try that game. If you like, you know what? If you like adventure games with movement, meaning not just point and click,
Yeah.
that game is just...
It just took me a minute to understand.
You know what I mean? Like, not...
A game with movement. Incredible.
just not mousing around, but like, I'm got to go down this hall, and I have to use this... I have to play this like a shooter, basically, kind of. Well, it is just that. It's first-person point of view and everything. But you don't really shoot stuff. Anyway, mouthwashing, amazing. I still think about that. I'm thinking about stuff I saw in there right now. The weird TV space. Remember when you saw that for the first time? Where the TV shows up and it's showing old shit? A cartoon. Yeah. Oh, man. That kind of thing gets in my veins. So I really like it. John, number 3.
Number 3 for me last year was Final Fantasy 16, game I still really enjoy. Number 3, moving up. It was another one that I thought was going to be lower than it is, but you got to be honest with the experience you had with these things. And it doesn't matter that it was early in the year. It doesn't matter that it wasn't for an insanely long amount of time for me. Helldivers 2 provided some of the most fun gameplay and fun times and big memories of the year, whether that was just goofing with friends or strangers or just thinking about Beau and I trying to 2-man missions and like getting stuck in a sandstorm and just being beaten up across the map and still managing to get the mission done somehow. Like that stuff was just fun and stuck with me. So Helldivers 2 is my 3rd favorite game of the year.
Let me say one quick thing about Helldivers 2. The reason it's not on my list. If that game, and I know this goes against the point of the game, all right, so don't send me your email saying, Scott, that's the point. If this game supported a more single-player PvE experience for me, I would have played way more of this. It's not that I don't like playing with friends. It's just my schedule's all over the effing place. And I wish there was a way to just get in and play and not have to worry about, well, we need 3 other people or even 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same reason I don't play. Like, It's just hard to coordinate. I wish I could play Helldivers 2 more.
Yeah, same. All right, Jabon. Beau, tell us yours.
A huge distraction here. The cat tried to jump on the counter, but he landed on a pizza box and slid off the side.
Oh, shit.
and it made me, I'm not going to use that. It made me laugh so much that like I'm having a booger problem now.
A booger problem.
Massively distracted. Well, it's like not coming out, but you know when it feels drippy and like I gotta clear it. Like
yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, my nostrils are in rough shape. All right, let's see if I can't get through this.
Number 3.
Number 3. So last year was Like a Dragon, the Man Who Erased His Name.
Yeah.
incredible ending, incredible video game that deserves its overwhelmingly positive. I think it still even is. It's so good, dude.
I would like to know that none of these games that we've talked about today are crap reviews anywhere. They're all stellar reviewed. I just want to say I think we're in sync with the consensus this year on almost everything except Beau and BLOWOUT. But other than
I think
that,
this one I'm about to do for this year is not as universally liked, but it's one I love, and everyone will recognize it. Number 3 for me this year was Raven's Watch, which is even Scott and I have managed to play a game or two of that.
Great game.
And this game is basically the Heroes of the Storm PvE mode made into a roguelike multiplayer experience, and it is incredible. I love the way all the heroes control. I love the fact that it's fairy tale heroes made into MOBA-like characters with really good design and interesting things. And you can play as Geppetto, which I just think is an interesting choice, and you build little summons and stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's so cool. And there's a mermaid character where like you get to sing and then move water around, and there's the Pied Piper that gets a bunch of rats when he plays his flute, and then the rats attack things. Like, it's thematically it's very good as well.
Yeah.
So I love Raven's Watch.
I agree, and it's also very fun alone. You don't have to play with other people.
Yeah, you can play solo. You can pug. They had to have matchmaking, and you can just play with friends.
Yeah.
And there's sliding difficulty, so you can play an easier version, or you can play a harder version. It doesn't really punish you. And you just make more progression on your character and unlock in that roguelike way if you just play harder modes. But it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic game.
Boss fights are a beast, but once you get your head around them, they're fun.
And good boss fights. Yeah.
Excellent. Let's dive into number 2 for me. Last year, I said Phantom Liberty, and I wrote yes, it counts, because it was DLC that year, or expansion, or whatever you want to call it. I stand by that. But for number 2 this year is a game that I played probably I know it's the most on Steam because it says this is the most game time I played. And that is Shapes 2 with a Z. Shapes with a Z 2.
Shapes with a Z. Nice.
I like that you also wrote it's in early access, but still counts.
It still counts.
Apparently your number 2 game of the year slot is reserved for it. I promise you this belongs on this spot.
I know. That just feels a little cheaty, both of these.
Yeah, we went through great pains to avoid things like this.
I know. I can't help it. I love Shapes 2 that much.
You like it that much. That's fine.
I love it.
It belongs. It's your list. It should be the games you feel strongly about.
To me, it's just it's such an amazing example of what a good automation game can be, and it just sucks me in every time. And I'm only not playing at this very moment because I'm waiting. We're doing this. We talked a bunch today about waiting for 1.0s and why. Certain games, this is one of those now where I played a ton. I know I love it. Now it's time for me to get off the teat for a bit, let the teat fully form into a proper teat, and then suck that teat again.
Is that teat with a Z?
Teat with a Z. Teats.
Teats. Now that's an automation game I can get behind.
That's right. We're in front of. John, how about number 2 for you? Where are you?
Well,
where are you at?
how about under?
How about under? Yeah, baby.
Number 2 from last year was Cyberpunk 2077 with Phantom Liberty, proving that I did not care if you put an expansion on your list last year, but I care so much this year.
Yeah.
So much. But number 2 for me this year was easily my biggest surprise of the year. Wild Bastards is my number 2 of the year. I could not believe how much I liked this game. I could not stop playing it. I played it till my hand hurt. I immediately was like, wait a minute, this is a spin-off of a game that existed that I never touched called Void Bastards? Why didn't I ever play this? This is one of my favorite games I've ever played. How have I not played all of these? I just couldn't stop playing it. And every time I got a new character, I would play them and I go, they're garbage. And then I would keep picking them and playing them on missions and couldn't put it down and ended up loving them, except for a few that I feel like could have been balanced a little better. But I could not stop playing Wild Bastards. It was such a fun shooter experience. I loved the art. I loved the style. You put this on your indie list and it could have probably been there for me, but when I looked back and reflected on it, I liked this more than any of the AAA games that I played significantly enough to where Yeah, I had to recognize it here. I just had such a good time with it.
Made by listeners too, which does not impact our voting, by the way, everybody.
No, it doesn't,
No.
because when I first played it, I was like, I'm not going to play this game very much. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then next thing I knew, I couldn't stop playing it, and now it's one of my favorite games I've played.
By the way, a
this year.
game could cost $250. You could gift it to John. You could send him extra cash and food and put his son through college. And if John doesn't like the game, he will still tell you that.
Yeah,
I like that
will.
about you. Yeah.
I'm completely honest about this. It's the family I grew up in. If there's something we don't like, we will tell you. It doesn't mean we don't like you, but we will tell you.
Yeah, I like that. I respect
Just
it.
how I was raised.
All right.
So
Perfect. John or Beau, tell me about your number 2 pick from last year and this year.
Number 2 for me was Dead Space Remake.
Yeah,
Fantastic
great game.
What
So
a
good.
tragedy. EA's pooping on it. Because we need more Dead Space. But my number 2 this year is boom, 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 boom. Helldivers 2.
Whoops. Yeah.
It kind of came out of nowhere. Like I've been aware of that studio and like liking Magica and stuff like that. Like what they do. But for some reason, Helldivers 1 always didn't. I never pulled the trigger on it. It kept coming up all the time, and I'd be like, I don't know, top-down shooter looks like. It just never really, sold me. I guess.
Yeah.
Because I take it the game's pretty similar. So when Helldivers 2 is like announced it coming out, and I've seen the trailers for it, and I'm like, well, Helldivers 1 never got me. Like this game's probably just. You know what I mean? Like we saw so many trailers, right? And it was all like, oh, it looks so cool, the graphics. And Helldivers would come on and be like, yeah, you're shooting bugs, okay. Like such a surprise.
Yeah.
Not only that I enjoyed it, but it became such a phenomenon. I'm sure it was a little bit of a surprise to them too. Like it's fantastic. Like just so many interesting decisions about the way the game plays. Reminds me a lot of PlanetSide 1 sometimes, like getting the big robots, having friendly fire, even though it's like very different. It's got like kind of that DNA in it. It's just so good, man.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Agreed. Well, all right. That brings us to number 1. And my pick last year was BG3.
good choice.
Yeah, it was a good choice. I think you'll hear a few more choices like that here coming up. For me, though, number 1 is Metaphor ReFantazio. I'm not done with it. I just know that this is that sounds dumb, and some people are going to criticize me for this. You can only pick games you've beaten. Whatever. Our criteria here is a little more loose. I will beat this game. I love this game, and I didn't expect to. This is a big surprise, as I said earlier, for me to like. It's got some tropes that I usually am sort of opposed to. Like, at first glance, it looks so it looks so anime relationship simulator to me. Just like your main character that you embody. It just bad first impressions for someone that just is tired of those tropes. That is not what it is, though. Like, don't let your first glance at it make you think anything. In fact, don't even think it's going to be a new Persona game, even though it has that lineage, certainly. It's just more than that. And I mentioned earlier how far music, voice, localization, and stuff goes here. It's crucial to me for to have it as good as it is. And I also just like some of the ideas they have about, we know you like, you know what they did? It's like they said to me, hey, Scott, you're a guy that likes the turn-based combat. Yes, I do. You like it in JRPGs? Yeah, I sure do. How about when you become a little OP, would you like to just tear through some of those levels with an auto-fighting thing? Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd like to have that when I need it. Also, how would it be if you didn't have to stop everything to do a turn-based fight when you've already gotten strong enough to be that you've trivialized some of these mobs and groups of mobs? How about you just run into the room and start swinging a sword action style and kill them that way? And save the turn-based for stuff that's harder to beat until they're easy to beat, and now they're also one sword swing away from dying. That, to me, is a brilliant addition. I don't know who else has done this in their games before, but it's the first time I've seen it, and I love it. So, a million more things to say, but for me, it's Metaphor ReFantazio, the stupidest name of the year, but I really love it.
No.
It's the metaphor's fine. Like, just call it Metaphor. And then next one's Metaphor : something or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what
Refantasio.
I don't know what a Fantasio is.
Maybe I'm not far enough to know. John maybe knows something I don't about this, the way it ends. But Refantasio.
I know it's called Metaphor Refantasia. That's what I know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of metaphors in it.
Yeah, there are a lot of
Okay.
metaphors.
Refantasia.
And the way they do humans, like what is a human? There's some brilliant shit in here. It's really good. I just think in this year I didn't play anything that grabbed me quite as hard as this, with the exception of possibly Dungeon Clawler. Just kidding. All right, John, your pick last year versus this pick this year.
Hey, so good we're going to do it again. Baldur's Gate 3 was my number one choice last year, and this year my choice for Game of the Year is Metaphor Refantasio. This game was a complete surprise. I was intrigued by the art style. I was intrigued by the pedigree of the Persona series, but I was not expecting this. And in a year where Final Fantasy XIV tried to tell a narrative about being a leader, and what it means to get the support of the people that you're going to lead, and told a very safe, very sterile, and like kind of boring story, which lacked a lot of nuance, which 14 is kind of well known for, to then turn around and play something like Metaphor Refantasio, where you hear the villain, who's very clearly a bad guy, say things that you have to admit, you know what? He's the one standing up for people that are being treated poorly. I kind of agree with him. I don't necessarily agree with how he's doing it, but he's kind of right. And to tackle those issues in an unsafe way was such a breath of fresh air from other things I played this year.
Yeah.
So many things that I played felt like, well, we don't want any nuance. We need to be very clear on these things. And this game was just very willing to go, no, these things aren't easy issues. They're not simple. We're going to tackle these things in complicated ways that aren't cut and dry. It was a fantastic narrative with wonderful characters, and it was just a wonderful experience all around.
Also, very original story. This didn't feel like a rehash to me of a million other kinds of stories like this. It's a fantasy story with its own ideas and its own way of telling the story, and characterizations and even enemy types. They just aren't doing anything that I'm used to. That's maybe the bit. You've helped me refine why I like it so much. They've made a game that is wholly unique in so many ways. It's good. It's so good. Beau. Now,
yeah.
Can I guess what you chose last year for your game of the year?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Just kidding. We
what could it have
all
possibly
chose
been?
Baldur's Gate 3 last year. That's just
I was obnoxious with it out of anybody. Yeah.
It was what it was.
Baldur's Gate 3 was my number one, and this year, it's a choice a little bit. It's going to be a little bit different. It's not Metaphor Refantasio. The game. My number one game of the year of 2024, the best release out of all the games, is Batman Arkham Shadow.
Oh, Jesus.
All right.
That's right. A VR game is number one, baby. And I'll explain my rationale. I've had lots of entertainment, smile on my face playing certain games, particularly Helldivers and Baldur's Gate 3 with friends, and even raiding has been enjoyable. But playing as the Batman, I just felt like a kid again. Like I just felt like pure cocaine bliss being Batman, doing the Batman things. And like it helps when you're playing a game and your blood gets circulating and you feel more alive because your heart's pumping and your brain's getting more blood oxygen to it. I'm sure there's something to that. But this game gave me just that feeling of sheer joy where form meets function. Yes, we've got the VR aspect, but it's not like some kind of thing that's shoehorned into, playing in a VR. They nail the whole feeling of doing Batman things, including like little joy. Like when I punch a guy and then I step back and then he's getting up, I can take my Batarang and throw it at him and knock him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can use a grappling hook, get up on a ledge, and then grab somebody and tie them up and hang them off the side. I can do so many of the Batman things. that it's just a joy when you pull off really cool moves. There's even this stun you can do where you take one hand and grab your cape and just swipe the cape at them so they get stunned, and then that opens them up for a combo. So it's like it's all the joy of playing a combo-based Batman or any other kind of game where you pull off cool moves and feel like a badass, but you're not pressing buttons to do it. You're like swinging your arms around and actually it feels like you're actually doing it. You know, and the story's pretty good. I would say the story is like just what you would expect from an Arkham game, but that's pretty good. But mainly it's just really feeling like the Batman, and it brought me a lot of joy, and that's why it's my number one. They did a phenomenal job with the game.
I have seen a few lists of VR games of the year, and you seem to be not in the minority. Everybody also talking big stuff about Batman.
Batman VR was a surprise because I would have guessed Behemoth would have been it, but that's been sort of mixed. I still want to try it at some point. Same with Metro. I think there's some problems with it. I would have guessed that Metro was like the Steam VR game of the year, but that's because Batman's a meta exclusive, so it's not on. I bet you Batman would have definitely broke Metro had it been on the Steam thing, but I think Batman is by far the best experience. One of the interesting things too I read about the game when they were interviewing it is because they were meta exclusive, they had to go with harder hardware constraints. And one of the things they really wanted to do was Batman is the Dark Knight. It's all about shadows. So lighting was really important. When you're like diving down as Batman, you need to see the bat outline to get the feel for it. But shadows are like graphically intensive, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, so one of the things they did was like, well, we should they were able to. You used to be able to do this on the Xbox 360, so they actually went back to the old Xbox 360 titles to find out how you could get really good graphical fidelity out of like lesser hardware. Like there's almost this like idea that we got better computers, we got better stuff, but it's like optimization still optimization. So in order to achieve like the performance they wanted on a limited piece of hardware, which is VR headset's like a cell phone strapped to your face, basically. A little more complicated than that, but
yeah,
you're not dealing with a full PC. How do you get a really good experience out of it? It's when you actually play, it's just really impressive how smoothly the game works and how functional it is and how you really get lost in the world, especially compared to other meta exclusives that tend to not be very detailed. I love it. This game is amazing.
Nice. Well, now here's the hard part. We have to come to some sort of agreement. We haven't. So what I'm going to do to start this is I'm going to play the most used sound clip of 2024 as the intro to our final decision. And
Okay.
it's this. So congratulations to From Software on a number of levels today.
yeah.
That being one of them. That was some Sekiro or whatever. No.
I have a couple thoughts going into this.
All right.
I will tell you that there are 0 games that exist on all 3 of our lists.
That's true for the first time ever, maybe.
There are 4 games that are shared between 2 people.
Yeah.
And those 4 games are Helldivers 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Now, I would like to... It doesn't mean it has to be one of these 4. I'm just going through some quick logic, and then you guys can tell me what you guys think. I don't think it should be Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 because there's one of us who actively didn't like that game. And how can it be Core's Game of the Year if one of us didn't like the game?
It's a fair point.
So I would like to disqualify that. To me, at least, the 2 top contenders are 1, Metaphor ReFantazio, because for 2 of us, it's our Game of the Year. The other one that I think has a decent chance is Helldivers 2, because while it is not on all 3 of our lists, I think all 3 of us would consider it one of our games of the year. So those are my thoughts. I'm curious what you guys think.
I say just give it to Metaphor, because I haven't played it yet, but I think I'm going to like it.
Yeah, but John's...
Should I boot it up right now? You just let me play it
Well,
for like 10, 20 hours?
It's just 90 hours. Just try and get through it real
Yeah,
quick.
it'll
It's
be
about
fun.
the length of a Core episode. Start it when we start.
I was just going to say that I think that I like John's logic here. And I would never go on any record like Helldivers 2 is not in my top 5, but it may as well be. Like, it's that good of a game. It's right up there. Like I could.
But you didn't put it there.
I didn't.
There.
I didn't. But you, at the very least, it's a game all 3 of us played and all 3 of us really liked. Whereas ReFantazio, we have 2 of us that really liked it and would call it our game of the year, but we have a third who's never played it. So by John's logic, I understand the Helldivers thing because we're weighting it, right? We're giving it weight.
What if we give it a tie? Are ties acceptable?
Everybody gonna be mad if we do a tie.
A Metaphor Helldivers Fantasio. 2.
I mean, I wouldn't say no, except let's just suss this out. So Infinite Wealth is on there. This is the same scenario for me. You guys really liked Infinite Wealth. I didn't play it.
And to me, that's strong, but it's neither Beau or I's favorite game of the year. That's why I think Metaphor's weighted higher. That's literally yours and my game of the year.
Even though we really love that game, like Yakuza can just never be a game of the year. You know what I mean? Like, I would never give a Yakuza game of the year.
I don't know. I don't speak too soon. We're pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, Beau.
No, because
Yakuza in Hawaii.
Here's one of the things: is they do pump them out at a pretty solid clip, and what they pump out is really impressive. But they reuse a lot of shit, right?
Yeah,
and it's just
they
part
do.
of it is just like you like that. It's like a sitcom, or you like that familiarity of the characters. They'd have to do something mind-blowing gameplay wise and story wise and everything else, and I just don't expect them to ever do that.
Well, if this was 2019,
even though I will list these games when they're good, I can't ever see myself giving a Yakuza game the actual best thing that came out for a video game.
if this was 2019 and the very first time you get Like a Dragon, that may do it, right? That may have been the one.
I guarantee you this pirate game will not be a game of the year. It will be really good. I guarantee you it will not be game of the year.
Fair point. So what if we do an elimination thing? So I know that Dungeon Crawler, Mouthwashing, and Shapes 2 are not going to be the final. So I'm just going to X those out.
I mean, I think in a way we've narrowed it down to the bottom 2, and Beau's the one who would be theoretically against Metaphor, and he said he's okay with Metaphor.
Oh, I'm okay with Metaphor. Like, I have it. I'm hoping to play it soon, and based on a lot of what you've said, I think I'm going to end up also really liking it. Considering this was top lists in a lot of places, I just haven't sampled it myself, but like, I'm willing to concede on the Metaphor thing, because even though I haven't played it, I can see from what I have seen of the game that this, just looking at the menu screen, I mean, look how much they put so much effort into like the menu screen. Like, no game does that. Like, there is respect to be earned here. I think I'm going to like the game, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, their UI stuff is crazy. That game, so nuts.
Even their loading screen, the animation where it's like, we're not going to just throw up a loading. We're going to do a quick cut scene of a kid like walking intensely down a hallway. It's like, okay, cool.
I love that.
That's
yeah,
more effort than you needed to, and I'm glad that you did.
I love it when they're walking through town and your guys are kind of like looking at crowd stuff happening, and it's very immersive, and it's just a load screen hide, but it's a stylistic
also
one.
Skateboard on a sword.
That's true. Can't do that.
Also, it does have a bit of the Persona thing where you're managing a day life and appointments. And
a little bit.
Right?
It's not nearly as restrictive though. It's partly why I like it. It's because Persona.
I got a bit of taste of that this year by playing Zenless Zone Zero, which didn't get a mention on any of my lists because poo poo getcha's poo poo. But it otherwise is like a good product, like a quality animations and all that stuff. Like, lots to like there. And it had the daytime appointment thing where you're going and, we're going to meet and go grab a coffee. I really like the barista in Zenless Zone Zero. So, that also makes me feel like, well, I didn't play Metaphor, but like I played a Persona-ish game and liked it. So,
why don't we do this? Here's my current proposal. We put Metaphor ReFantazio down as our collective game of the year with a small asterisk that if for some reason Wimbo plays it, whenever that may be.
Oh, I like this.
This week. Let's do
and if for some reason he doesn't like it, we just pretend we all said
You know what? This is great. It's like when you have to take away the crown of Miss Universe or whatever because she slept with a frog or whatever. So
Yeah.
you can go, oh, well, she was Miss America for like 2 weeks, but she banged a dude behind a bus. So take her out, take her crown off, give it to the second one. So we'll just do that. If this happens and Beau hates it, we decrown it, give it to Helldivers, which is...
Man, why can't Miss America have sex?
They get weird with them.
So annoying. But yeah, no. What I'll make it homework for this week. Since Game of the Year hangs in the balance, I feel a greater responsibility to do my part and ensure we have it. So I will be playing. We will have our answer by next week.
Okay.
I like it. That's
Okay.
great.
I make
That's
this
a hook
commitment
for
all
next
to
week
see.
too.
I like it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Now it's not just playing; it's the future of video games hangs in the balance.
Yeah,
I gotta play it.
All right.
Built it up.
So this year's 2024 Game of the Year for now goes to ReFantazio with the asterisk that Beau has to dip his toe in there and see what's up. And if he comes
The
back with
official crowning will be next week.
yeah, he'll be crowning. He'll be crowning next week, and he'll make his choice.
I'll be crowning next week.
Just push. You'll be fine. All right. Well, then that means Mike Morheim agrees.
Hello, China.
Hello, China. Indeed, we have a winner. Ding, 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 ding. You guys should play that game. Metaphor ReFantazio. You guys keep saying. I say Tazio. I don't think it matters. That last part of the name is stupid.
Again, this is like a past apostrophe.
Patazio.
Patazio or Fantazio.
I like Metaphor Patazio. That's fun. But anyway.
What about Fartazio?
Fartazio. That would work as well. I take whatever ideas you guys might have. But as you can tell, that has brought us to the end of a very long episode, which is super fun, though. We knew this was coming. We knew we were going to have this one. We knew it was going to be beefy. And we're glad most of you in the chat hung around to see the entire thing. And for those at home, we hope you enjoy all 4 hours and 24 minutes of the main show.
Holy sh! Yes.
Another 30
Well,
for pre-show.
We got to get on their longest episode for their Spotify Wrapped for the end of the year.
Exactly. I got. Oh no.
Oh yeah,
we've
already got knocked that one out.
Check it off in January. We can do whatever we want now.
I love it.
Sweet.
I love that.
For episode incoming next week, guys.
For anybody doing fast, 1.5 or 2x speed, Godspeed to you, because I'm sure you'll enjoy your 2.5 hour show. All right, we have one thing left to do. That is to remind you guys that the entire shop is brought to you by your help over on our Patreon, patreon.com/core show. Please help us out. We need you in the new year. Get over there and keep making this thing possible. We really appreciate everybody who does. And you can do that right now. I keep saying that. Patreon.com/core show. Frogpants.com/core is our website. Okay, so now I can finally get that out. We hand it to Grandma, who now explains all of these games we played, and she's going to do it as fast as her little body can do it, right?
Well, we've been here for as long as I've been alive, so here's every game that got mentioned, including some repeats. Clear Obscure Expedition 33, Civ 7, Avowed, The Outer Worlds 2, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, Doom the Dark Ages, Valheim 1.0, Falling Frontier, Dune Awakening, Windblown, Shapes with a Z, Timberborn, Mutant Football League 2, Questmaster, Dungeon Crawler, Tape to Tape, Rotwood, Boar Blasters, Gravity Circuit, Lottle Knot, Xenotilt, Wild Bastards, Balatro, Silent Hill 2, Mouthwashing, Metaphor ReFantazio, Dragon Age, The Great Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Astrobot, Minecraft. It's hard to find. There's not a lot of games in this list here. Here we go. Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail, Helldivers 2, Final Fantasy. Oh no, that already got said. Elden Ring, Shadows of the Erd Tree, Cyberpunk 2077, Mega Man X3, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, Dragon Age: The Veil Guard.
Yeah, did you? I was wondering.
The
did you
hardest
make a
part
list?
is to remember what already got said. No, I'm just scrolling down and trying to remember what was in here. Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, Unicorn Overlord, Silent Hill 2 remake, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Stellar Blade, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Black Myth Wukong, Path of Exile 2, The Minish Cap, Mario Brothers 3, Unreal Tournament 99 and 2004, NFL Blitz 2000, Wingman, Ace Combat 7, Baldur's Gate 3, Vampire Survivors, Mega Man X Legacy Collection, Path of Exile, the first one, Griftlands, Overwatch 2 for some reason, RoboQuest, Bullet Mad Jack, Enshrouded, Hades 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Darkest Dungeon 2, Dave the Diver, Sonic X Shadow Generations. World of Warcraft: The War Within, Vampire Survivors: Ode to Castlevania, Elden Ring: Shadows of the Erd Tree, World of Warcraft Classic. We'll say that too. I guess it got mentioned. And let's see what has not been said on
Raven's
this list.
Watch, Grandma.
Wild
Raven's
Bastards, Raven's Watch. That was one of them. And Batman: Arkham Shadow. That's all the games.
That you nailed it. Congratulations to all of them for their consideration. Congratulations to Refon Fantasio for its win.
Oh, before we
go
end,
ahead. Yeah.
Before we end, should I play with English voices or Japanese voices in Refantasio?
English.
The English is great.
It's really good. Yeah, that's part of my whole reason I love the game so much. Not that mileage may vary, but I think the best part of it is how well it is presented in those ways. It's really good.
Now.
Unless you're Japanese, then please do the Japanese one. I'm sure the reads are great. Anyway, there you go. Thanks everybody for listening.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Have a
New
great
Year.
2025. We'll see you next week for a brand new core. Until then, do something else besides listen to the show. We'll see you then.
Those pants are made for frogging, if you know what I mean. I actually don't. Frogpants.com.
Captain, we're under attack!
I figured we'd end with that.
That's a classic.
It's a class.